Hello guys, today's what if is gonna be, what if Naruto was in DC. I hope you enjoy. Hello, father. I must say, I did not expect you to come and visit me so openly. You're usually far more discreet, this is very reckless of you. Naruto said casually. He is a 20-year-old who was wearing an expensive navy blue suit with black shoes and a red tie, spotting spiky blonde hair and ocean blue eyes. He also had what appeared to be fox-like whisker marks on his face and was a tall young man, standing at 6 feet 4 inches in height. If that is your first concern after not seeing your father for years, then I am a better teacher than a father. Slade Wilson replied casually. Besides, I have friends in high places. Someone who happens to be a homo magi owed me a favor. You're the only one who can see me for who I really am because of your abilities, everyone else just sees an unassuming nerd. The spell will last for 12 hours. The man in question replied. He had short silver-white hair and an eye patch over his right eye, and was wearing a maroon jersey along with black pants and black shoes. He also spotted a blue tie and a neatly trimmed, silver-white beard and spoke with what appeared to be an Australian accent. Always meticulous and vigilant, I see, as expected of course, from the most dangerous assassin in the world. Naruto retorted. The fact that I'm known as the most dangerous assassin in the world means that I've been sloppy. If I truly was the most dangerous assassin, then no one would even be aware of my existence. Slade retorted. Nonsense. If no one knew about you, then you wouldn't get any clients. People only know about you because you wanted them to, and you're only known in a very small circle of people anyway. Naruto countered swiftly. You always were able to see through me, Nathaniel. Slade retorted, causing Naruto's carefree and calm demeanor to change in a barely noticeable but significant way as he confirmed that something really big was going on, because his father only called him by that name when shit was hitting the fan. The name Nathaniel, of course, was the name that his biological mother, who happened to have been a new god, had given to him. However, she had given him to his father to raise and went back to her home planet of Apocalypse in order to hide and protect him from her master and ruler. As she feared that the immense potential Nathaniel had surpassed even that of the Dark Lord, and that the Dark Lord would be able to immediately sense that potential just as she had and have him assassinated before he could reach that potential. Slade of course had been in love with another woman and even had plans to marry her. Bringing in a love child into the relationship would have destroyed it beyond repair, and Slade wouldn't have that. So he had taken Nathaniel to his close friend Uzumaki Namikaze Minato and his wife Uzumaki Kushina to be raised in the Uzumaki ninja clan while he carried on with his life. However, the agreement had been that from age 15 onwards Naruto would go on missions with Slade in order to gain combat and mission experience, and also allow father and child to meet and bond with each other. He had also gotten a new name from the clan, hence the name Uzumaki Naruto. Things had gone according to plan initially. Naruto's mother had sealed his power away, predicting that Naruto's power would eventually grow too powerful for the seal, starting at around the age of 20. However, she had clearly underestimated the true extent of her son's potential as the seal had started to weaken by the time Naruto was 8 years old. As a result, by the time Naruto was 10, he had already been able to bench press 200 kilograms and squat 300 kilograms. In other words, he was arguably the strongest 10-year-old in the world, and that was despite the seal on his body. As a result of this drastic increase in physical strength, it was decided that Naruto would start missions with his dad at age 10 instead of 15, so that his father could contribute to his son's training before he grew too strong for him to be able to even spar with his son. It also helped that he had already mastered everything the Uzumaki had to teach him by that age, showing that he truly had godly genius, intellect and talent. So for the next 5 years Naruto would frequently leave the Uzumaki compound to go on training trips and missions with his father, and they had a 100% mission success rate too. By the time Naruto was 15 he was already a war veteran and his power was already such that he could lift 20 tons of weight despite the seal still being in effect, albeit significantly weakened. He was essentially a super being with the power and skill to throw it down with the best of the best. However, that didn't do much in the way of protecting his clan as they were completely wiped out when he and Slade had been on a mission. Still, they held their own pretty well considering that they managed to kill 450 armed elite warriors before they were wiped out, a great feat considering the fact that there were only 20 Uzumaki members in total, and not all of them had been adults. It wasn't hard to figure out who did it. The uniforms of dead soldiers were a dead giveaway, no pun intended. It was Hive, Slade's old enemies. Naruto had wanted to go after them himself, but Slade had refused, forbade him from seeking revenge and insisting that he keep a low profile just like his biological mother wanted, promising his son that he himself, and he alone, would get revenge for the Uzumaki clan. Ironically, at the very moment that Slade was promising to avenge Naruto's family, his own family was being attacked as his other son, Joseph, had been kidnapped. The events that preceded lead to the Uzumaki clan being avenged by Slade and also lead to Slade's legitimate son, Joseph Wilson, being saved by Slade himself, however at the cost of Joseph losing his ability to speak as he had his throat slashed by the jackal. Naruto had thought that with the Uzumaki clan gone, that Slade would take him home with him, but that didn't happen. Instead, Slade had made it clear that Adeline and Joseph were his real family and that Naruto was not part of that family. He had also told 15-year-old Naruto that he was never to make any contact with his family and that he was an adult because he had killed dozens, in fact hundreds of people, and that the Uzumaki clan and Deathstroke himself had taught him all the skills he needed to survive. Those words had hurt Naruto very badly, but he had been taught and trained in the ninja ways, and a ninja never shows emotion nor is he ruled or influenced by emotions, so he had sucked it up and did as instructed, forging his own way in the world. Which is how he ended up with 4 PhDs in a multi-billion-dollar company known as Wave Consolidated, at only the age of 20 years old. Slade had to admit that he hadn't expected Naruto to go legitimate, nor had he expected Naruto to forsake the way of the assassin in favor of a normal life. It was perhaps the biggest surprise of his life. He also hadn't known just how much he would miss the sun-kissed new god, or the pain that came with being estranged to your firstborn son. Naruto had not said anything to rebuke or insult Slade, and had always been civil and accommodating to Slade whenever Slade called him or asked for a favor, but the fact remained that Naruto, in all that time, had never once, not even once, reached out to his father. It was always his father reaching out to him, never the other way around. For some reason the lack of rebuke or anger hurt more than anything in the world to Slade. It hurt more than if Naruto had called him out on his bullshit or if he had outright hated him. Slade honestly, as an assassin, never understood the saying that you could kill someone with kindness. He always thought it was nonsense because the only way to kill someone was to poison them, burn them, electrocute them, blast them with bullets, drown them, hit a pressure point, bomb them, suffocate or strangle them, stab them, or cut them up. There was no other way. Well, turns out there was another way because he was being killed by his very own son with kindness, and it hurt like hell. Still, he needed his son right now. He needed his son, for the sake of his other son. Okay, you already know that I'm an empathy. I could sense the guilt, pain, remorse, and anger rolling off of you in waves from the moment you entered the city. You also called me Nathaniel instead of Naruto, which is a dead giveaway that something is up. So sit down and tell me what is going on. Naruto instructed as he too took a seat in his office chair, Slade doing as instructed as he was reminded that he couldn't really hide anything from this guy. My son, Joseph, has been kidnapped. Joseph has disappeared from his boarding school. It's been 24 hours already and I haven't got a definitive lead. I'm going to have to take drastic measures to find him, but that could take more time than I care to waste. Slade explained. You had a homo magi who owed you a favor, and instead of asking them to divine Joseph's location you asked them to hide your identity so that you can come and ask me for help. Naruto asked with a raised eyebrow. Stop being a smart ass and help me out. I'll owe you one. Slade retorted, Naruto rolling his eyes at Slade because to this day Slade hadn't paid any of his debts to him, but of course Slade would argue that Naruto hasn't called any of those favors because Naruto never even calls him. Look, this is my son we're talking about. I wasn't going to trust his fate to some stranger who happens to practice voodoo or whatever. Better the devil I know. Slade tried to explain his reasoning. Fair point, I guess. Okay, your son is at a place known as the Kerguelen Islands. It is one of Hive's main bases. Place is quite the fortress. Naruto said as if it was nothing of consequence. How do you know exactly where is? You didn't contact anyone and you don't seem to have used your new god cosmic powers or whatever. It's almost as if you already knew that my son was kidnapped. Slade said with both anger and suspicion. Your son has developed meta powers. I don't know what other powers he has, but I know about his telepathic and empathic powers because he tried to use them to contact me once, but I blocked him off because you said you didn't want me making contact with him. I did monitor his movements though, telepathically and empathically, that is. Your son hates you, and he wasn't kidnapped by Hive, he joined them. Naruto trailed off as Slade got up, grabbed Naruto's work office desk, and violently threw it at Naruto, the desk completely shattering on impact, breaking into pieces right on Naruto's face. That was uncalled for, father. Naruto said calmly, not even fazed by his dad's violent behavior, neither mentally, emotionally, or physically. You expect me to believe that my son joined Hive, my greatest enemies? His greatest enemies? The people who attacked him and his mother, kidnapped him and slit his throat? You expect me to believe that nonsense? Slade exclaimed angrily. Well, when you put it like that, no. But your son was in a vulnerable state. I mean, he thinks you abandoned him and his mother shipped him off to some faraway boarding school afterwards. He needed you both after the trauma he suffered, but both of you left him all alone. Furthermore, the Hive Queen that runs the base in the Kerguelen Island happens to be another of your illegitimate children, so it's kind of like a brother-sister thing, I guess. They must have bonded over their loneliness and abandonment issues. Naruto laid it out on the table. My what? Slade stuttered incoherently. Your illegitimate daughter. It wasn't easy to get accurate intel on her, but she is your daughter, yours, and a woman from Comedia known as Lillian. Her mother named her Rose Wilson. Her powers are very similar to yours: super strength, enhanced agility and speed, regeneration, enhanced brain function and intellect, etc. Naruto explained patiently. Lillian, I haven't seen her in a long time. I never knew she was pregnant. Slade said sorrowfully. She's dead now, died quite a long time ago actually, when Rose was still very young. Rose was on the streets for a while, but she quickly realized she had superior physical abilities and started using them in an underground fighting arena. That's when the Jackal found her and recruited her. He probably knew about her long before then though. He couldn't have just randomly found her, he must have been monitoring her, or rather, he must have been monitoring you, which is how he would have known about Lillian and Rose. Naruto explained in detail. Wait, Jackal is alive? This is all crazy. Where does the Jackal's obsession with me even come from? Why won't he die? Slade thought furiously. You should try using a condom more often. I mean, I'm grateful to be alive and all, and I'm sure Rose doesn't wish to be erased out of existence, but come on man. Being immune to diseases doesn't mean you shouldn't use protection, or at least birth control. A vasectomy wouldn't be a bad idea either. Just shut up. Just shut up for a second and let me think. Slade said irritably. There's nothing to think about, father. I don't think you'll want to kill your daughter. Fathers are supposed to have a soft spot for their daughters. You definitely don't want to kill Joseph, so your usual methods won't work here. You'll either have to let them kill you, or you're going to have to convince them to forgive you somehow, and of course, be a more present and supportive father afterwards, assuming they do forgive you and don't just kill you. Naruto explained patiently. Or I can kidnap them and make them forgive me, kill and destroy the rest of Hive and the Jackal himself, and then spend the rest of my life making it up to my kids. Slade retorted. Sounds good on paper, but I wonder how it will really play out. Anyway, I have been thinking. Why not take over Hive after you kill the Jackal and run it with your son and daughter? You once told me that my mother said that Earth would need me in a powerful army in order to fend off the forces of Apocalypse if Darkseid ever found out about me, or if he just happens to decide to conquer Earth. Hive could be the start of building that army, and you could use it to further your mission of getting paid while making the world a better place through the art of assassinating the metaphorical pests that are destroying the metaphorical greenhouse. Naruto suggested, breaking Slade from his thoughts as he brought up a very solid idea. That could be a very good idea. But Adeline, she'd never forgive me for bringing Joseph into my world. I'm not sure I could forgive myself. Slade replied, conflicted. Joseph has already brought himself into that world, by his own will. Nevertheless, you can give him the option of continuing with a normal life. I doubt he would accept the offer though. There really is no going back now. Naruto retorted. You managed to build a normal life for yourself. If you could change, then Joseph can too. Slade argued. Really? You think I'm living a normal life? I must be even better than I thought if that is really what you believe. Naruto laughed, causing Slade to frown at him with displeasure. I never stopped taking missions. Kitsune is still very much active. Besides, there is nothing normal about the world of business, trust me. It's not as dangerous as what we do obviously, but it is just as treacherous and difficult to navigate safely. Naruto retorted. I had no idea. I thought you gave up on that life completely. Slade retorted. That life is just as much a part of me as it is yours, in fact more so me since it was the only thing I knew from the moment I started walking and talking. Naruto retorted. I see. I'll think about what you said on my way there. It's not a bad idea at all. I'll have to run it by the kids of course, and hope they don't kill me first, but I'll make it work somehow if it is indeed what I end up deciding to do. Slade said thoughtfully. Well, good luck with all of that. Whatever happens, I hope you all live to see another day, and I hope you manage to reconcile. Naruto said sincerely. Thank you on. Slade said as he turned and walked away, headed towards the door. Sorry about your desk. Slade said before closing the door and making his way out of the building. To be honest, he was extremely disappointed. He had been hoping that Naruto would offer to accompany him since the matter involved his brother, and his sister too apparently. It would be like old times when they used to go on missions together. He knew it was an unreasonable expectation. He knew that he was the one that was supposed to ask for Naruto's help and company after the horrible things he had said to the boy after his adopted parents died. It was an olive branch that he wanted to extend but couldn't for some reason that was beyond him. Was it pride? Was he too prideful to admit he was wrong and to ask for forgiveness from his own son? Too prideful to mend the relationship that he broke? The boy had it tough. His biological mother was literally in another dimension, the so-called fourth dimension, and left him when he was a baby. His biological father pawned him off to his friends, who raised him as their child only for them to all be murdered because of Slade's own enemies, because he somehow led them to the Uzumaki clan. And then Slade, being the boy's father, being responsible for the boy's existence and his suffering because of the death of his parents, had abandoned him and said so many hurtful things and in such a harsh way while doing so, and he still had too much pride to just say that he was sorry? Adeline was right, there was something seriously wrong with him. And the boy, how could he have taken all that so well? How was it possible for him to be so well adjusted despite all of that? Granted, the boy was raised as a ninja and was taught to control and suppress his emotions at all times, but still, this was a little too much. Was it because of the divine genes that he had? Perhaps. Perhaps Slade was too close to the situation. Anyone else would have first noted the fact that the boy wasn't even human, he was literally a god. For some reason Slade tended to overlook that fact. Maybe gods are better at processing this kind of stuff. Slade thought, not entirely convinced but not entirely unconvinced either, leaving the premises as he got into his car and drove away from National City, just in time too because what happened 10 minutes later would probably have delayed his rescue mission significantly. 13 minutes later. Sir. You need to come with me. I need to get you out of here. Poison Ivy is. Khalil Payne, otherwise known as Painkiller, trailed off in surprise and horror as he saw Poison Ivy outside of his boss's window, standing on what appeared to be a literal monster plant, the head of the plant looking like it was the size of a submarine. Like something straight out of a nightmare as the plant's mouth seemed to have sharp fangs that were the size of a grown human. Painkiller is a tall, muscular, and handsome black man, with black hair styled as a neatly trimmed shortcut and brown eyes. He is wearing black military-styled pants along with black combat boots and also has a short-sleeved black top along with black body armor. He has 2 high-tech gauntlets on each of his arms and has 2 guns on each side of his hips. There are also knives and other weapons stashed in many different compartments on his person, and he is clearly either Naruto's assassin or his bodyguard, also carrying two apocalyptic tech swords on his back. "What do you want?" Naruto asked through the impenetrable glass window, making sure to pronounce his words slowly and deliberately so that Poison Ivy could read his lips. "I want to kill you and destroy your company." Poison Ivy replied maliciously, using a hand gesture as well to express her intentions as she moved her right-hand thumb across her neck. "Let us talk first, you can kill me afterwards if you desire. Meet me on the roof," Naruto said, pointing upwards in order to convey the message to Poison Ivy. "Don't keep me waiting, or I'll make you regret it," the notorious feminist and eco-terror activist said dangerously, mentally commanding her plant monster to take her to the top. "That was a good diversion, sir. Now let's get out of here before she catches on," Painkiller advised. "No, Painkiller, you're wrong. I have every intention of honoring my word. A man's word is a man's bond, Mr. Pain, always remember that," Naruto retorted. "Okay, I always knew you were out of your mind, but this is just ridiculous. You actually think you can reason with Poison Ivy? She's a misanthropist, as in, she hates all humans. You can't reason with that kind of crazy," Painkiller said incredulously. "And what about Looker? She's a hardcore, redneck racist, isn't she? And yet here she is, working side by side with Painkiller and Instant, an African American and a Hispanic American. You and her have gotten pretty close, I hear, despite you being of the race that she hates the most," Naruto said with a knowing smirk. "She? That's diff. Okay, I get it," Painkiller said after stuttering incoherently, shocked that his boss knew about his illicit affair with his racist colleague. "Don't worry, I have no problem with your relationship with Looker, so long as it doesn't affect your work," Naruto said calmly, Painkiller nodding his head in understanding and gratitude. "So what now, sir?" Painkiller asked. "Contact Instant and have him come here immediately. We'll need his abilities if things go south," Naruto ordered. Instant, real name Eduardo Dorado Jr., is, like Painkiller and Looker, 22 years old, only 2 years older than his boss. He is also one of Naruto's generals and bodyguards, and is mainly responsible for emergency transportation due to his ability to instantly teleport to different locations. Naruto had been 16 when he met him, and Eduardo had been a troubled teenager who was addicted to drugs and started using his metahuman abilities to rob banks. Naruto had quickly tracked him down and subdued him. Following that, Naruto took him to the mountains where he had set up a space-time barrier and left a shadow clone to train Eduardo in fitness and hand-to-hand combat for 2 years. By the time the training was complete, Eduardo's body no longer craved for drugs, and his mental, physical, and emotional fortitude was so strong that you couldn't make him addicted again even if you injected him with drugs on a regular basis. Needless to say, Instant was one of Naruto's most loyal henchmen. "Roger that, sir," Painkiller saluted, pressing a button on his earpiece as he contacted his friend and colleague. "What about Looker and Hack?" Painkiller asked curiously. "Have Looker and the Sangha protect all the sensitive facilities in the building, and make sure that Hack continues to protect our digital mainframe," Naruto ordered. The Sangha are basically normal humans, or rather, they are originally normal humans, homeless Caucasian people to be more exact. However, they now have powers such as super speed and super strength thanks to Looker's powers, her powers being the ability to produce a silver liquid metal that she can insert into people and use the substance not only to control those people, read their minds, and see through their eyes, but to give them abilities similar but lesser to those of herself, such as of course super speed and super strength. Naruto had insisted that she use homeless people, because well, most of them had no life. That didn't mean Naruto didn't value their human rights, because on the contrary, he did. They were briefed, in detail about what would happen to them once she gave them the substance, and they all willingly volunteered, thereby granting Looker, and by extension, Naruto, an army of superhumans both for security purposes and for war if necessary. "What about Brainwave Jr. and Hourman Jr., sir?" Painkiller asked. "Poison Ivy is strong, but I don't think we'll be needing Brainwave and Hourman on this one. Leave them be. Oh, and stop calling them Junior, they don't like that," Naruto retorted. "Then they shouldn't have chosen the same code names as their fathers," Painkiller retorted in between his dialogue with Instant through his earpiece. Their fathers are deceased. There is no longer a need to differentiate between them. Naruto retorted, instantly appearing in Naruto's office right after his retort. Hey boss. Instant said casually. He is Mexican guy with olive skin, messy black hair and brown eyes. He was wearing a black face mask that covers the lower half of his face and had a red visor covering his eyes. On his body he was wearing a red long-sleeve top with black body armor made of promethium element and also had 2 promethium gauntlets on his arms. His pants were black military pants and black combat boots, and he also had a black ankle-length coat over his outfit. There were a number of hidden compartments with all sorts of weapons in his outfit, but the one item that wasn't hidden was the long apocalyptan scepter on his back, a gift he got from Naruto. Instant. You sure are always late for someone who can appear anywhere in an instant. Naruto retorted, Eduardo rolling his eyes under the visor, unable to contain his dismay at the fact that his boss probably didn't actually need any of them. They all knew just how powerful he was. After all, it was only last week that the boss had made short work of Looker and the Sangha when Looker somehow got it in her head that she didn't have to follow someone who was weaker than her. Her delusions of grandeur were quickly shattered when she came to the realization that her liquid metal substance doesn't even work on the boss. Then she and her puppets got bodied hard by the boss with literally one hand behind his back. It was then that she learned the true nature of the boss, and so did the others, that he didn't command respect and warrant fear just because of his money and connections, but because of his power. The boss had explained to them, for the first time, who he really was, that his other known name was Nathaniel Wilson, son of Deathstroke the Terminator and Gelatina, an actual Gods from Apocalypse, who was a member of the elite warrior group known as the Furies. It all made sense after they heard that. No wonder he was so strong, no wonder he had such a strong presence. To think that this seemingly normal business nerd and scientific genius was actually an all wonder he had such a strong presence. To think that this seemingly normal business nerd and scientific genius was actually an all-powerful god. Well, Eduardo had already known that the boss was dangerous even without knowing he was a god. The hellish training the boss made him endure had been proof of that. However, even he had been shocked to the core to learn that his boss was an actual god. That was just crazy. He was supposed to be a Christian. His mother would turn in her grave if she knew he was literally serving the will of another god. I'm sorry boss, it won't happen again. Instant said, scratching the back of his head sheepishly. Whatever, just take us to the roof before the misanthropist gets pissed off and does something even crazier than what she is doing right now. Naruto ordered. A minute later. You made me wait. Are you trying to stall me? You think perhaps if you stall me enough then Superman can come in and save the day? Let me shatter that bubble quickly. I gave Superman a lot of distractions specifically so that I will be able to take my time with you. So don't fuck with me Naruto, not today, or ever. Poison Ivy said dangerously, the green-skinned, red-haired goats in human form not looking too pleased at all, left hand on her curvaceous hip and right hand ready to take action at a moment's notice. She was wearing green pants and a hip-length jacket that was a much darker shade of green and had voluptuous figure with curves in all the right places. She was standing on top of what could only be described as a monster plant head, the beastly plant literally salivating at what it saw as 3 potentially tasty meals. The entire building had all its exits closed off and was constricted by gigantic vines all around it, the vines so strong that they could literally squeeze and crush the building at Ivy's command. Essentially, Poison Ivy was holding the entire building and everyone in it as her hostages. I see. So you're saying that you've got more of these gigantic vines attacking other notable buildings in the city? Which means that this particular building is the last one you attacked. You are however overlooking one thing, Superman has super hearing. He can hear everything happening all across the world at once. It's possible that he is listening to our conversation as we speak. Naruto said as he unfolded the Kemp chair that he brought with him and sat down comfortably. Poison Ivy's confidence taking a slight knock at hearing that information as she hadn't known that Superman had such an insane hearing ability. Internally wondering how the hell this nerd even knew that because it isn't like that was public information or anything like that. Now, I know you want to kill me, but surely you have already realized the impossibility of that task, as you may have noticed that we arrived via instant teleportation. We can be on the other side of the world in a heartbeat. Naruto retorted. I did notice that, but are you willing to abandon your life's work and all of the employees that are trapped inside the building? If you are, I wonder how the rest of the world will react to that. How will the families of those employees react? Will they turn into villains for the sake of revenge and hunt you down? How will your clients and suppliers react? Will they be willing to do business with someone who would betray his own employees, someone with so much bad will with the rest of the world, so much so that no one will buy his products? Tell me, Naruto, does that sound like a desirable outcome? Poison Ivy asked rhetorically. Not at all, which is why I want to know why exactly you're out to get me. I don't remember doing anything to you, and if I did unknowingly do something, I doubt it's so bad that it couldn't be resolved peacefully. So, please tell me what it is that is bothering you so much. Naruto asked. We are here because you are a piece of shit pretender, acting like you're pro-clean energy and that you're an eco-activist when you're really not. Poison Ivy said angrily. What? How am I not pro-clean energy? My entire company is built on the production of clean energy technology. As for being an eco-activist, I never pretended to be one. All I did was build the best technology in the world that happens to not release any harmful emissions. Naruto argued. That's precisely the problem. It's not enough. You're the richest and most famous person in the world, and that comes with a heavy amount of influence. You could literally decide who becomes the president of this country by endorsing and financing the campaign of anyone you want. You can similarly influence the business sector and get everyone on board with your clean energy initiative, but you don't. Instead, you are only interested in profiting off of the market gap that you exploited. Poison Ivy said furiously. So basically you're here to force me into becoming an eco-activist? Naruto asked incredulously. Or kill you or your entire roster of employees if you teleport away. The plant goats said with a warning undertone. I think you're leaving out one other option, the one where we kill you instead. Painkiller said with a grave undertone. I dare you to try. Ivy said angrily. You're angry, and while you are indeed super intelligent, you're not thinking rationally right now. My man Instant here can literally kill you in an instant. You wouldn't even know what happened until you were in the afterlife. Even if somehow your plants were fast enough to react, my other man here Painkiller is immune to all poisons and toxins and has enough skill, speed, and agility to close the gap between the two of you and kill you. I'm not saying there isn't a scenario where you could survive, but I don't think there is one where you could win. Naruto said gravely. Then you should know that my will extends far beyond my grave. Even if I die, my plants will execute the order to destroy this building and kill everyone in it. The green-skinned goats retorted. In that case, I offer to you the position of PA and bodyguard. Naruto countered much to Ivy's shock. What? Ivy said incredulously. I'm offering you a job. Think about it, as my PA and bodyguard, I would be completely vulnerable to you. You could literally kill me anytime you want should you have that desire in the future. Meanwhile, you will have complete access to me and will be able to watch my every movement and criticize or advise wherever you feel you must. You can help me to do what you want and expect of me, and maybe in time I can tell you what my real plan is. Naruto proposed. Let me get this straight, I attacked you and threatened your entire life's work, and your response is to offer me a job? Poison Ivy asked, unable to get over the sheer incredulity of the situation. Of all the outcomes she expected from this encounter, this was not one of them. I would offer you a more prominent position, such as head of the R department, but that job is already taken. I would have to demote or fire someone in order to give you that job, and that wouldn't be fair, especially since the person holding the position right now is so good. Besides, I'm not sure the employees would be comfortable working so closely with a supervillain. Naruto retorted. You're out of your mind. Ivy deadpanned. Yeah, I agree with her. What the hell, man? Instant asked incredulously. Instant, you were a drug-addicted bank robber when I found you. Painkiller, you were a hitman for supervillain Tobias Whale when I found you. Looker was a racist, fascist supervillain with the goal of eliminating all non-whites in the world. How is an eco-terrorist and misanthropist so different to that? Naruto asked rhetorically, effectively shutting down any other protests from his bodyguards and friends. So, Pamela Isley, are you interested in my job proposition? Naruto asked eagerly. I'll give it a try. I mean, this is so weird. I came here to destroy you and now I'm going to work for you? Harley is gonna go nuts when she hears about this. She's gonna think I'm a pussy. Poison Ivy thought out loud. Harley? As in Harley Quinn. Of course, they are known associates. How close are they? Poison Ivy is crazy, but she's manageable crazy. Harley Quinn on the other hand is not someone I'm interested in, well, ever meeting her really or having anything to do with her. Naruto thought. This is a difficult decision. It would mean that I have to leave Gotham. I've never left Gotham, nor have I ever wanted to. I'll have to make new friends and find a new place to live and basically uproot my entire life. Pamela said anxiously, Naruto, Painkiller and Instant all wondering how the hell a misanthropist had friends in the first place. Think about it. I'll give you 7 days to consider it, upon which if you accept the job, you will have another 7 days to get your affairs in order. I'll expect you to start working 15 days from now. I expect great things from you, Pamela. Together, we could change the whole world as it is known. Naruto said confidently. You're an interesting person, far different from what I expected. Poison Ivy said with intrigue. Wish I could say I get that a lot, but I actually don't. I seldom interact with people outside of work. Nevertheless. Naruto trailed off as Supergirl arrived in the blink of an eye, a sonic boom to mark her arrival, and the speed with which she arrived. Oh shit. I gotta get out of. Wait. I believe we can resolve this issue amicably. Naruto said quickly, stopping Poison Ivy from escalating the situation. Supergirl, it is a surprise to see you here. I was under the impression that your jurisdiction was National City. Did you get lost or something? Naruto asked with genuine curiosity, which made it even funnier to Painkiller, Instant, and even Poison Ivy as they all chuckled at Supergirl's expense. You think this is funny? People have been hurt, innocent people, all because of this criminal. Supergirl said indignantly, suppressing the urge to use the word lunatic. I understand your ire, it is not unwarranted. However, I couldn't help but notice you said hurt and not dead. Does that mean that all of the victims are alive? Naruto asked curiously, wanting to make sure that he kept Supergirl talking because the more she talked the less she was inclined to attack anyone, which is something they definitely did not want. You think that makes it better? Those people have the right to their bodily integrity and to feel safe at all times. Poison Ivy has no right to take that away from them. Supergirl argued with righteous indignation. I agree, which is why I have convinced Poison Ivy to make an honest living like everyone else. I have convinced her to take a job as my PA and bodyguard. She has agreed to use the proper channels in order to achieve her desired outcomes. I have the financial and intellectual means to make her dreams come true in a proper way, without endangering the lives of the innocent. I have taken a leap of faith in her, and I would ask you to do the same. As compensation, I will pay for all the damages she has caused today and will pay the full medical bills of everyone who was hurt today by her actions. Naruto countered. Are you insane? You expect me to put my trust in her? If I let her go and she ends up killing innocent people, those people will have died because of me, because I wasn't willing to do the right thing. Supergirl retorted. And here I thought the S symbol on your chest stood for hope. Are you saying you have lost all hope in Poison Ivy's ability to change and do good for others and herself? Are you saying you have lost hope that she can lead a healthy, productive life? And if you haven't lost all hope in her, then why are you not willing to help her make the necessary transition to become a productive member of society? Why are you standing in her way? Do you really think Arkham Asylum is going to help her? Who has reformed after going there? Who has reformed after going to Belle Reve? Naruto asked rhetorically. Fine. I'll let the authorities know what I have decided, but if they decide to come after Poison Ivy anyway, then I will have no choice but to apprehend her in order to prevent casualties. I do not know what you see in her, but if things go south then I will hold you responsible. Also, If my cousin comes back from outer space and decides to apprehend Poison Ivy, the matter will be beyond my hands. Do you understand? Supergirl asked with authority that she had no idea how little she actually had. Perfectly. Thank you for your cooperation, Supergirl. You might just be on your way to becoming an even greater hero than Superman. At the very least you have earned my respect, selfish as that may be to say in light of the situation. Naruto retorted. Well, you do not have mine. I do not give my respect so easily. You'll have to earn it. Supergirl replied defiantly. Noted. Now Pam, I'm going to need you to call off your plant friends. Our deal with Supergirl does not have a leg to stand on unless you call off your friends. Supergirl, please help evacuate the injured civilians and take stock of the costs of repairs for the property damage and the medical bills of the injured. When you are done, please bring me the figures and I will take care of everything. Naruto said, his voice carrying so much authority and purpose that both Supergirl and Poison Ivy felt compelled to obey, the two powerful women in their own right doing as ordered despite their dislike for taking orders from others. 2 days later. Uzumaki, Naruto here, how may I help you? Naruto asked as he picked up his cell phone. Kid, I need your help. I cannot do this alone. Joseph refuses to listen to me and well, he's way too powerful. He doesn't just have telepathy and empathy, he also has these crazy strong telekinetic abilities. He tried to kill me and almost succeeded. If it wasn't for my regeneration I would. Naruto Nathaniel, I need you, son. Slade said at the other end of the phone, his wife, Adeline, looking at him with pure unadulterated shock before it turned into anger and hate, although she did well to stop herself from saying anything, choosing rather to wait until Slade was done talking, after all. Whoever this other person was must have been very powerful and resourceful if Slade thought that he could do something about their predicament. That's not a problem at all. I have a guy, he goes by the name Brainwave, named after his father. He is a powerful telepath, and his telekinesis is also on a grand scale. He should be able to hold off Joseph while you and Mrs. Wilson deal with the rest of. No. I can't leave Joseph to some stranger. It needs to be you. It needs to be his brother. Slade said firmly. You realize what this means, right? I know what it means, and I know I have no right to act like a father after everything, and I have no right to ask you any favors. But Joseph and Rose, both of them are your siblings. They need their elder brother. They need you, I need you, so does Adeline. We all need you. Slade pleaded, something that Naruto thought he would never hear his father do, not Deathstroke, not the Terminator. He does not beg or plead, he simply takes what he wants. That's the Slade Naruto knew. This had to be very important to him if he was willing to grovel, he must really love his family. Have you told your wife about me? Naruto asked. And no, not in so many words. Slade stuttered. Is she listening in on this conversation? Naruto asked, although already knowing the answer to his question. Yes. Slade answered patiently. Then you probably will have a lot of explaining to do. With that in mind, I'll be arriving in exactly 60 minutes. I'd give you more time, but I get the feeling that this Joseph situation is more urgent than the issues between you and your wife. Naruto replied before dropping the phone, leaving Slade and his wife to sort out their issues, if that was even possible at this point. It would seem like my world is about to change once again. Having a brother and a sister. I wonder what our relationship will be like. Will I love and protect them like an older brother? Will I feel nothing for them? Naruto thought, only to be broken from his thoughts a moment later when he heard a knock on the window of his penthouse, turning around to see Supergirl floating on his window. He could honestly say that he was absolutely not pleased to see her, not because she was a superhero or anything, because he honestly did not care about that, nor did he have anything against superheroes. It was just that, well, she apparently had X-ray vision, and Naruto knew that if she ever looked at him with those her X-ray vision eyes, she would be able to easily tell that he was no mere human, that is of course to say, if she hasn't already looked at him with her X-ray vision. He honestly did not want to have to answer questions about his heritage, especially to a superhero. However, it seemed like he was going to have to accept the fact that Supergirl was going to be a thorn on his backside, at least for as long as she was going to be hanging around Metropolis. Hopefully Superman would not follow in her footsteps when he returned, and at least for now, Naruto would try to be accommodating, as in, try not to give Supergirl a reason to use her X-ray vision on him. He could easily prevent the use of X-ray vision by creating a barrier ninjutsu around himself or directly on himself, but then that would raise more questions too. Although now that he thought about, perhaps he should do that as soon as possible. It was far better she have questions about him than to outright confirm that he wasn't human. You know I have a door that you can use like everyone else, right? Naruto asked mockingly as he opened the window so that Supergirl can come in, putting all barrier and X-ray vision thoughts aside for now. Where is the fun in that, Naruto-kun? Supergirl retorted cheekily, causing Naruto to raise an eyebrow at her for using the cheesy-kun suffix. Not that the suffix itself was cheesy, but rather it was the fact that she used it in with her American accent that made it cheesy. What? I mean, you are Japanese, right? Or at least a Japanese wannabe. So tell me, what's your real name, Naruto-kun? Supergirl asked curiously. What the hell is this? Why are you bothering me? Just because I said I respected you doesn't mean that I actually like you, you know. Naruto deadpanned. It also doesn't mean you don't. Supergirl said as she looked around the youngest billionaire in the world's penthouse, whistling as she admired how big and beautiful the place looked. This place is lit, Naruto-kun, it's very beautiful. You have good taste. I do wonder though why you felt the need to have bulletproof, soundproof, and X-ray proof windows in your penthouse. It made it very difficult for me to track you down. Do you know how hard it is to find out where you live? I didn't think it would be so hard to find out where arguably the most famous person in the world lives. Supergirl said, finally turning around to look at the blonde Uzumaki, having given him her back the whole time since she entered his abode. First of, it's not just the windows, it's the entire building. Secondly, I seriously doubt I'm as famous as your cousin, or even you for that matter. And thirdly, I have somewhere to be in exactly 48 minutes, so whatever this is, I'm gonna need it to be wrapped up by then. Naruto retorted. You know most people would be ecstatic to have Supergirl pay them a special visit, but not you. You're not starstruck at all, you simply don't care. You're not a villain, at least as far as I'm aware, but you don't seem all that impressed either. Yet at the same time you did show me some respect, genuine respect, during our first meeting. I think I want to get to know you a little better. So I'll be paying you these random visits every now and again. Supergirl said with a cute, innocent, and yet at the same time very mischievous smile. So wait, you've got a crush on the youngest billionaire in the world, who also happens to be the richest man in the world, after just one encounter with him where he showed you the bare minimum of respect? Wow, you sound just like one of my fangirls. Naruto taunted. Have any of your fangirls ever been invited into your apartment in the middle of the evening? Supergirl retorted cheekily. No, I don't suppose they have. This is unexpected though, I mean, I thought maybe you came here to talk to me about poison ivy, or at least the property damage repairs and medical treatment of the injured civilians. Naruto retorted. He'd be lying to himself if he said that he wasn't attracted to Supergirl, that blonde hair and those bright blue eyes, that blemish-less skin and those long legs and curves in all the right places. Honestly, she was arguably the most beautiful woman he had ever seen. However, at the same time, this was just too surreal, like, Supergirl pining for his affections, and so blatantly too. It was just too weird. She had to be up to something, and yet using his empathic abilities, he could feel no negative emotions whatsoever, only positive ones. Oh yeah, don't worry about that. I have someone working on that for me. You'll have the exact figures delivered to you in a couple of days. Supergirl replied, referring to her sister Alex Danvers. Naruto suspected, although content to pretend he didn't know nor care about that for now. It was probably better for Supergirl to believe he didn't know anything about her world anyway, because Naruto had no doubt that if she knew how much he knew about her, she would inevitably start digging up information on him. It was the natural reaction of people in that kind of situation. So you just came here to tell me that? Good, now get out of my apartment. Isn't there a villain somewhere in Metropolis waiting for you to spoil their evening? Naruto said in as bored and dismissive a tone as he could master. Fortunately for me, Superman came back this afternoon, and I still have someone covering for me in National City, so I thought I'd spend the evening with you. Isn't that so exciting? Supergirl asked with cute, sexy, and yet playful and mischievous smirk, her left hand on her hip as she struck a sexy pose for the youngest billionaire in the world. Damn. I can't allow her to keep doing this, I feel like she is chipping away at something deep within my being. Naruto thought as he felt his defenses weakening slowly but surely. I do not know you very well, but this feels so uncharacteristic of you. Are you sure you aren't high or something? Naruto asked with a quirked eyebrow. No, I can neither get high or drunk unfortunately. At least not from Earth beverages. There might possibly be a civilization somewhere in the universe with something potent enough to make me drunk, but whatever it is, it would probably be fatal to a human being. Supergirl said with a thoughtful expression, hand on her chin as she tried to imagine what it would be like for Supergirl to get drunk or high. Fair enough. I was about to offer you some wine, but I see now there is no point. Naruto replied. Wine? Why, Naruto-kun, I know you're young, but you don't need to get me drunk to get me to lay with you. In case you haven't noticed, I want to lay with you when the time is right, of course. You'll have to earn my trust first, and I have to know that you take me seriously. Supergirl said as she walked closer to the blonde Uzumaki, or rather, sauntered her way closer until they were face to face, pulling Naruto by his tie before placing a chaste kiss on his lips. Just a little sample of what's to come if you play your cards right. Supergirl whispered on his ear before pushing the sun-kissed billionaire away. What kind of gold digger plays hard to get? Shouldn't you be trying to get me pussy whipped as soon as possible? Naruto asked, confused, causing Supergirl to laugh heartily at the blonde Uzumaki's response, his candidness and bluntness only serving to amuse and endear her to him instead of what the blonde Uzumaki was no doubt going for, which was to turn her off and push her away. Oh Naruto-kun, I don't care about money. I don't even get paid for what I do. I risk my life for free. What makes you think I want your money? Supergirl asked incredulously. Tell you what, if it ever gets that far, we can sign a prenup. How does that sound? Supergirl asked. How old are you anyway? Naruto asked. He already knew the age of her alter ego, Kara Danvers, which was 24 years old, but that could just have been a fake human age. For all he knew, she was 200 years old in reality. Age is nothing but a number, Naruto-kun, but if you must know, I'm 24. And before you make a robbing the cradle remark, you're only 4 years younger than me, and you're a legal adult, so you're game. Supergirl retorted. Fair point, but the sudden interest in me? I mean, you couldn't have developed such strong feelings over the last 2 days. Naruto asked suspiciously. Truth be told, I've been fascinated about you ever since I heard about you. I read any and all news I can find about you, and I especially like your philosophical quotes. I see you as a hero who fights the battles that we cannot fight as superheroes. By that I mean the battles that are fought in boardrooms and courtrooms. Superman inspired me to be a hero, but you inspired me to stay a hero and to seek all knowledge and wisdom that can help me become a better hero. Kara said with a glowing smile. You have no idea how wonderful it was for me to find out that my impression of who you are was only an understatement, that you were even greater than I imagined. I mean, the way you helped Poison Ivy the other day, the way you handled the whole situation, I think that was the final straw. I knew since then that I absolutely wanted you, that I wanted to make you mine. I understand that you do not have to accept my advances, but you should also know that I do not give up easily. Supergirl said with determination. It seems like you are not going to be leaving anytime soon, so we might as well order in and dine together. Make yourself at home. I'll be back, just need the bathroom for a minute. Naruto said as he went towards his bathroom, Kara shamelessly eyeing him top to bottom as he went past her, Naruto doing well to pretend that he didn't notice at all, the girl of steel enjoying a silent squeal of joy to herself when the blonde Uzumaki was out of sight. She realized that his response was not one most people would consider to be good, but Kara was far more observant than most. Fact of the matter was that, unlike earlier, he didn't ridicule her for expressing her deepest emotions and desires, and he didn't try to get her to leave like he did earlier. Instead, he was offering dinner and his company for the rest of the evening. And even told her to make herself feel at home. He was very subtle in his approach, but Kara was also a very caring and sensitive person on top of being naturally observant because of both her superhero and reporter career. More often than not she had to read and predict what a villain's next move might be, or discern what made them tick and what their motivations were. So for her, it was rather easily to decipher the meaning behind people's words and actions. I can't tell if Supergirl is a total slut or just has it bad for me, Naruto thought with a mental sigh. Well, anyway, time reveals all truths, so I guess I'll have to ride it out and see what happens. I'll have to leave a shadow clone and teleport away though. Even if she uses her X-ray vision, every room is X-ray vision proof. She won't know that I replaced myself with a shadow clone, Naruto reasoned. 40 minutes later, Kerguelen Ocean. What the? Slade. Adeline exclaimed as she pulled out her 9mm and aimed it at the unit of a man that just appeared out of nowhere a few meters in front of her. He was no longer in his work clothes, or rather, he was no longer in his office clothes, as he was wearing his other work clothes, his Kitsune work clothes. Adeline couldn't help but take note of how similar his outfit was to Deathstroke's outfit, as he was wearing almost the exact same outfit except for the fact that the parts that were orange on Slade were red on this guy. Another difference was that this guy had a different mask on, one that was black in color with what appeared to be the face of a red fox-like demon as the front of the mask. Its eyes were also glowing red instead of the white that was on the eyes of Deathstroke's mask. On the man's back was what appeared to be a gigantic sword, another thing that he had in common with Deathstroke, Adeline noted. But this blade was different, because it looked like it was imbued with some kind of futuristic technology, having a mother box interfaced into it as well. Even the scabbard didn't look like a normal scabbard, as it looked like the scabbard itself could be some kind of weapon. At ease, Mrs. Wilson, it is I, Nathaniel Wilson, but you probably know me better as Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto said with a much deeper voice than Adeline expected from the richest and youngest billionaire in the world. Are you using a voice modulator? Adeline asked warily, unimaginably shaken by how inhuman the voice coming from this man sounded, Adeline refusing to lower her weapon as a result. Heck, even if he hadn't spoken she would have still refused, because given this man's size, physique, and fitness condition, and his presumed combat skill level, which Deathstroke said was superior to even his own, then she had no doubt that she would lose badly if they engaged in unarmed combat. No, it's my voice, I can pretty much manipulate my voice to be whatever I want it to be. Now please Mrs. Wilson, I don't want you to get hurt. Bullets bounce off of me, not that I would ever allow myself to get hit anyway. But the point is, if it were to bounce off of me, it might come back and hit you instead, Naruto said in as calming and as sincere a tone as he could master. Show me your face. I need to see for myself, Adeline said, still finding it hard to believe that this man, if he could even call him that, was really Uzumaki Naruto. Thankfully, for both of them, that was the moment that Slade walked in along with Wintergreen. Addie, stop. That's my son, Nathaniel. Remember I told you about him? Slade said hastily. He came in here with some kind of spiraling portal. I think it came from his eyes. And his voice. You didn't tell me he was like this, that he was so. Oh, for Pete's sake, Adeline, I told you he is a god, didn't I? What did you expect? Of course he has powers. Our son Joseph has powers, so of course my other son who is a literal god has powers too, Slade said in exasperation. You don't have to be such a prick about it. How was I supposed to take your word for it after all the lies you have told me over the years? I thought it was just another of your crazy lies, obviously. Adeline snapped back. Okay, I deserve that. Nathaniel, take off that damn mask. Everyone in this submarine knows who you are, damn it. Slade snapped, the stress of the whole situation clearly getting to him. As you wish, father. Naruto replied, the mask covering his entire head disappearing in a literal poof of smoke, much to Adeline's further surprise. What was that? How did you do that? Adeline asked incredulously. It's called reverse summoning technique. I can summon and unsummon the mask at will, Naruto replied with his normal voice. Your voice it's normal now. Adeline said, shocked. Oh, for Pete's sake, Adeline, he's a god, get used to it. If we're going to be successful without any of us, more especially you, getting hurt, then you're going to have to get used to seeing him, and Joseph for that matter, doing unfathomable things. Slade snapped again, Adeline not replying verbally this time, but if looks could kill. Negative, father. I'm going in alone. My sister and brother already hate the both of you, especially you, father. A third party with just as strong a blood connection is the key to resolving this mess. If they can see that I am in a situation just as bad but was able to overcome that without turning into a villain and without hating you, then it might open their minds and hearts to an alternative solution to their problems. Naruto replied. So you're just going to talk them to death? I already tried that, it didn't work out. Slade said irritably. I will talk to them, after I have captured and subdued their entire army. People generally don't listen to people they don't respect or see as beneath them. Capturing and subduing their entire army will make them listen to me. Naruto replied. And if they don't listen to you? Wintergreen asked warily. They will, but if hypothetically speaking they didn't, then we'll have to leave them alone. Forcing them to do what we want will only make them hate us, well, hate you even more, and possibly start hating me too. The only thing we can do, if they won't listen, is to make it clear to them that our arms are always open for them, and that they can reach out anytime to us if they need anything. We must show them what family means and be there for them, like a true family. If they weren't family we would just kill them, or threaten them, but this isn't that kind of mission. It's more complicated than that. Naruto explained. Do you still intend to take over Hive and run it together with them? I don't want Joseph to be involved in this world. Adeline said worriedly. Joseph is only a child in age, but in reality he is no longer a child. He has gone through experiences some adults will never go through, and he is a powerful meta-human and a general in an army. You cannot make him do what you want anymore, you can only support him or go against him. That is the only choice you have. Naruto deadpanned, causing Adeline to break down into tears, unable to believe that her family life had turned into this nightmare. I know it's cliché, Mrs. Wilson, but when life gives you lemons, you have to make lemonade. Nevertheless, I will try to steer Joseph away from this life if possible, but I'm not sure that is such a good thing. This life is dangerous, but it affords Joseph the option of never being the victim. He wasn't a part of this life when he got kidnapped and had his throat slashed. This life followed him to his normal life. However, he could use these resources to prevent others from going through what he went through. Would that not give you pride, as his mother? Naruto said philosophically. I guess it is kind of selfish to want him to live the life I want instead of the one he wants. But still. Adeline trailed off, not really sure she could defy her protective instincts, even if they could possibly be wrong in this case. If they want out of the life, that's fine. I'll just take over Hive myself and run it myself, and I'll make sure Hive never bothers them again. Naruto said to both Slade and Adeline, not really sure if Adeline cared at all about the well-being of Rose. Okay. Do what you have to do. We're counting on you, Nathaniel. Adeline said, finding her resolve after taking a deep breath and releasing an even deeper sigh. In that case, I'll be back in 2 hours. Naruto said with steel and resolve in his tone, eyes, and facial features. 2 hours? You must be slipping very badly. The old you could take down these guys in mere minutes, maybe even seconds. Slade said incredulously. Don't be naive, father. Defeating the army is child's play, but that's not the mission, is it? Unless you think I can convince Joseph and Rose to be on our side in mere seconds. Naruto retorted, causing Slade to frown in displeasure as once again his lack of humanity was thrown in his face, by someone who wasn't even a human, worst of all. I'll be back. Naruto said as his mask poofed into existence before he disappeared into another spiraling portal. God, I don't think I'll ever get used to that. Wintergreen said as he released a breath he didn't even know he was holding. Thank you, Wintergreen. Finally someone normal who can understand how terrifying that thing that a person is. Adeline stuttered at the end, Slade giving her a scathing look for referring to his son as a thing, although Adeline felt like she wasn't entirely unjustified because there was no way something so terrifying could possibly be human. She didn't even understand how his work colleagues could mistake him for a human. Didn't they sense the immeasurably sinister and dangerous energy that thing was radiating? You did the right thing, Joseph. Our father, he was a scourge. Everyone has an inner battle between good and evil. I think he did consciously try to be good, but he just isn't good, period. His nature is to be bad, and he ended up hurting innocent people through his actions even when he was trying to be good. Putting him down was the right thing to do, Rose said, speaking to her brother through the mental communication link that Joseph opened up for them to be able to communicate in secret. To the outside world it looked like just an ordinary brother and sister moment, tired little brother laying down on sister's lap while she caresses his hair lovingly, providing comfort to the younger, frightened sibling, and for the most part it was true. However, it wasn't the full story, because between the loving caresses and the obvious bond between the two siblings, there was also a lot of diabolical scheming as they plotted against their so-called surrogate father, the Jackal. As far as Rose was concerned, the Jackal was just as bad as their biological father. If anything, he was considerably worse than their biological father. They had no intention of serving under him or following his lead. In fact, they were planning to use his obsession over Joseph's powers against him. How ironic, and how fitting that he was destined to perish at the hands of the weapon he went to such great lengths to cultivate. I know, sister, I know. It just takes some getting used to, using my powers, killing people, killing my own father. It's not something I can get over in a single day, Joseph replied. Honestly, if anyone, literally anyone else had asked him to do the things that he had done for his sister, he would have flat out refused. In fact, he probably wouldn't have been able to do any of those things even if he tried to, even if he wanted to. However, his sister was so pure in her love and devotion to their well-being that he couldn't possibly refuse and still call himself a man, and certainly he couldn't refuse to help her and still call himself her brother. That was the benefit of them sharing a mental link. There were no secrets between them, no deception, no trickery. Everything they did for each other was done out of pure love, devotion, and loyalty. This was by far the strongest and purest bond he had ever shared with anyone, greater than the one he had with his father for sure, and even the bond he shared with the woman that gave birth to him. Sometimes he wondered if he would have shared the same bond with his other sibling. He had tried to contact them like he did his sister, but before he could even identify them or even discern their exact location, he had been aggressively rejected, something that he didn't even know was possible as, to this day, no one else had been able to resist his telepathy. Sometimes he could feel their presence, like they were watching over him or somehow present with him. Joseph liked to think that they were watching over and protecting him. But he couldn't rely on such a fantasy. It was possible that the person was not as kind and loving as Rose, that they were just as bad as their father. Forget about that person, brother. They rejected you, and therefore us, just like our father did, just like your mother did by sending you off to that overseas boarding school. It is just the two of us against the world, and as long as we have each other, nothing can stop us. Rose said sternly, but also affectionately. My quite the manipulative older sister, aren't you, Rose? Manipulation tactics 101, isolate the victim, make them believe the entire world is against them, and then make them believe that you are the only one they can trust and rely on. They taught us that in my first year of ninja training. Came an inhumanly deep and barreling voice inside both Rose's and Joseph's heads. In other words, their mental communication link had just been infiltrated, or hijacked, or both. Joseph jumping up to his feet when he felt that all too familiar but at the same time completely foreign presence inside his head. Joseph. It's him. It's him, our other sibling. Joseph said with both excitement and fear, cutting his sister off before she could say what she wanted to say to him. So it's a he after all? But why now? Why make contact with us at this moment after all this time? Rose asked suspiciously, also on her feet now, having jumped up at the same time as Joseph, both of them standing at attention, ready to do battle if it turned out that this was some kind of attack. Why are you here, brother? Are you here for revenge? Is it because I killed father? Leave Rose out of this. If you want revenge, then you have to deal with me. I'm the one who killed him. Joseph said protectively. I admire your love and devotion to our sister, brother, and your resolve. It is so strong, uncompromising, and unrelenting. You are a great man and an even better brother. However, you've made a critical mistake because you just revealed just how important our dear sister is to you, that you love her so much you would die for her. This means that in order to truly savor my revenge, I must kill her instead of you. I must make you feel the same pain that you have caused me. Naruto said malevolently. You think killing me will be that easy? Heh. Don't get full of yourself, you little twerp. Rose said with both amusement and confidence, her fear a thing of the past as she resolved herself to stay by Joseph's side no matter what, refusing to be used as a weapon against her beloved brother. Little twerp. Is that any way to talk to your elder brother, little sister? How rude. The voice said with its own sense of mirth and amusement, shocking Rose into silence as she had thought that she was the firstborn child all this time. You're blocking the empathic link. In fact, even as far as telepathy you have only allowed thought projection. The latter is understandable, but not the former. Why would you feel the need to block off your emotions unless you didn't really have the resolve to go through with it? You don't intend to kill us. I bet you couldn't do it even if you wanted to. So what is it that you truly want? Joseph asked suspiciously, Naruto unable to help but to internally congratulate Joseph on his skills and deductive reasoning, unable to believe that he was already at this stage considering how long it took Brainwave to get to that same level. Most impressive, brother. Tell you what, why don't you come to the training center so that we can meet in person? I have a little surprise for you. Naruto said gravely. I can't access the camera systems. He has hacked into everything. How? Our system is practically impregnable, that's why Deathstroke had to allow himself to get captured in order to get to you. Rose told her younger brother frantically. Then we have no choice. We have to go to him, even if it's a draw. Joseph trailed off as the door to Rose's private quarters, where the two siblings currently were, opened on its own without prompting, at least, without prompting from neither Joseph or Rose, verifying Rose's claim that the entire system was hacked into. Brace yourself, sister. We are no longer on home soil, our home ground advantage has gone out the window. It is the same as if we are in enemy territory now. Joseph said as he steeled his resolve, Rose marveling at Joseph's strength as she didn't think he was at this level yet, or maybe he was just rising to the occasion. Nevertheless, whatever the reason, she was eternally grateful to have her brother by her side. Okay, let's go. Rose replied as the two of them exited the room, but not before Rose fully armed herself and prepared herself for war. The walk to the training facility was surprisingly peaceful, and suspiciously devoid of any human contact. Rose didn't want to believe it, but it was pretty clear that the entire base had been cleared out, and it just didn't make any sense to her because how could their entire army of soldiers have been defeated, and more significantly, how could they have been defeated without mounting any form of resistance as there were no signs of battle at all? Could it be that they had been betrayed? But how? How was it possible that their entire army were traitors? Stop worrying about all of that and focus on what's ahead. Our brother seems to have similar powers to me, so it's possible that he controlled them and made them go away. I doubt they went far though, they probably are still close by. He was able to block me from accessing his mind, so it's possible that he can block me from accessing other people's minds as well, which is probably why I cannot detect the others. Joseph said tensely. I see, but why are you talking out loud? It's not like he cannot hear our thoughts just because we're talking out loud, is it? Rose asked confusedly. He cannot, or isn't trying to. If it is the former, then it's probably because he basically hacked into a link that I was actively using and maintaining for us to communicate, and now that I have shut it down, he has no access to us. Theoretically, he would have to create his own link with us, which is not easy when I'm also actively blocking any form of interference. Joseph explained. And if it's the latter? If he simply isn't trying to access our minds anymore, what does that mean exactly? Rose asked with both curiosity and wariness, learning a few things that she didn't even realize she needed to know about Joseph's powers. It could mean a couple of things, but most likely, considering his demeanor, the level of experience, power that he seems to have, and the amount of planning he has put into this, I would say that he simply isn't trying to access our minds anymore because he simply doesn't believe he has to. Joseph replied. In other words, he doesn't see us as a threat? I mean, does he really think he is that smart and that powerful that he feels he can simply not use such an advantageous ability and still beat us? He is underestimating us, which means that he really isn't as smart as he thinks he is. Rose said with righteous indignity. Well, whatever the case may be, we're about to find out. I'll go in first. No. Let me go in first. I'm the one with super healing. Rose whispered harshly. I can protect myself with my telekines. Joseph trailed off as the door to the training room opened. Shit. He knows we're here. Rose whispered as she pulled out a twin pair of dual ballers, each one of the siblings quickly taking positions on opposite sides of the heavy metal sliding door. Dot. The silence was deafening as both Rose and Joseph tried to control their breathing, both of them trying to steel their resolve for what was to come, wondering what sort of devious and horrific traps their vengeful brother had set up for them. But neither of them willing to back down or abandon their base, their pride refusing to allow them to take the coward's way out, and of course, their curiosity also getting the better of them as they wanted to meet and see exactly what kind of person their brother was. Seriously? Do you know how long I have been waiting to meet you guys? Practically my whole life. How long are you going to make me wait? Naruto bellowed, the deep and inhuman voice of their brother making both Rose and Joseph question their own sanity for going through with their plan, or rather, lack of one. Dot. There are no traps and no ambushes waiting for you. I just want to talk. Hijacking your telepathic communication link, hacking your digital mainframe, capturing and subduing your entire army in minutes, without you even taking notice until it was too late. None of that means anything, it was just a show of power and ability so that I can have your respect. Now that I have it, I believe we can have a nice conversation as equals. So come out and let us talk. Naruto said patiently, Rose and Joseph looking at each other's eyes meaningfully, as if having a mental conversation, which ironically is something they could be actually doing, before both nodding at the same time as they both came to an agreement. Fine. We're coming out. Joseph said with his eyes glowing blue, his body also covered by a blue glow as he got ready to use his telekinetic powers at a moment's notice in case this turned out to be a trap, the two siblings walking out almost nonchalantly as they looked all around the training room only to find, much to their surprise, that there really weren't any traps or ambushes whatsoever, just a guy standing at the center of the training center, a very big and scary looking guy at that, especially with that demonic looking mask. No surprise there considering that his voice really sounded completely inhuman. A mask? Oh great. Guess you really are your father's son, I mean it's pathetic that you would go to such great lengths to imitate that asshole. Rose said with disgust. Tell you what, why don't you imitate his deceased state of existence and just die? Rose said as she quickly pulled out her guns again and started firing rapidly at her alleged brother. Rose no. Joseph exclaimed, shocked to the core at his sister's reckless actions. He probably could have stopped the bullets with his telekinesis, but he was completely caught off guard and too shocked, never having expected his sister to act so hastily. Besides, stopping her bullets could place her at a disadvantage if their brother replied with his own lethal force, so even if he had been aware enough to react, he probably wouldn't have. However, fortunately, or unfortunately, depending on whether their brother would retaliate with lethal force or not, the unfathomable happened, as both Rose and Joseph watched, in both shock and fascination, as their brother's upper body looked like it had split into many copies of itself. Which wasn't the case at all, as what was actually happening was that he was dodging the bullets so fast that it looked like his upper body was everywhere at once, Rose completely emptying her cylinders without even landing one shot. The multiple after images of their brother finally converging into one again as he returned to his original posture. Joseph, fearful of their brother's fury, and more specifically, for Rose's life, decided he needed to quickly subdue his brother before the situation escalated any further. Stretching out his hand and using telekinesis to quickly pull his brother head first towards the left wall so that he can knock him out. However, much to his and his sister's surprise, their elder brother was somehow able to stop himself just before his head made contact with the wall, pulling himself back to his original position despite Joseph's efforts as he completely defied and overpowered Joseph's telekinetic powers. Why you have telekinesis as well? Just how many powers do you have? Joseph asked, breathing heavily as he tried to buy time with conversation, having used up a lot of his strength while trying to overpower his brother. Telekinesis? I wish. Naruto replied with a lot of mirth in his tone. What? Then how did you? Gravity manipulation. I pitted my gravity manipulation against your telekinesis. And my gravity manipulation won. It just means that I'm stronger than you, that's all. Naruto said with a casual shrug of the shoulders. What do you want? Rose stuttered, internally cursing herself for showing weakness, but who the hell could really blame her in such a stressful situation where it seemed like they were up against an invincible opponent? I thought I told you before that I just wanted to talk to you. What? You guys didn't actually believe I came here to kill my own siblings, did you? Although I am disappointed that you would not only think so low of me but that my own sister would try to kill me, without even trying to get to know me first. Naruto said with genuine disappointment. Yeah, like you expected me to actually believe that you're our brother. And even if you were, the fact that you only came here after Slade died means that you obviously came here for revenge. Rose said stubbornly. Is that really the only reason, or are you afraid that you won't be able to manipulate and control Joseph anymore if he has another person that he can trust and rely on? Naruto asked rhetorically. What? That's nonsense. I love Joseph more than anything in this world. Rose exclaimed angrily. I believe you, but that has no bearing on whether you are manipulating him or not. Lots of people manipulate the people they love, to keep them to themselves, to prevent others from getting between them, to make sure they stay by their side and never leave them, etc. etc. Naruto retorted. You are not going to get between us, you viper-tongued asshole. Rose said angrily. Nor do I intend to. First, however, let me kill the revenge narrative. Our father is alive and well, he is the one that called me and asked me to come and talk to you. He doesn't believe you will listen to him and he doesn't blame you. Joseph, he isn't angry at you for trying to kill him. Disappointed, heartbroken? Definitely, but not angry. He still loves you and wants to make amends to you, that goes for both of you. Naruto explained calmly and sincerely. I'm not listening to anything you say until you show me your face and tell me what you did to my army. Rose trailed off in shock as their army suddenly appeared on the right-hand side of the training room, as if some kind of illusionary wool had just been removed from their eyes. What? Why, you were in our minds the whole time. Rose said disbelievingly. No, he wasn't. This is something else, it's more like, he somehow affected the environment itself. Joseph explained. You continue to impress me, Joseph. You are correct, of course. What I used was an illusionary ninjutsu. Unlike telepathy, it doesn't require me to make contact with the mind of another, but rather for my power to make contact with the environment itself to make it look like something that it isn't. Naruto explained. Will I also be able to do something like this? Joseph asked with intrigue. Doubtful, but we can try and find out. Naruto replied brotherly. We? Joseph asked with hope in his tone. You, me, and Rose. I'm not here to get between the two of you, in fact, I admire the way the two of you love each other and look out for each other. I would never try to separate the two of you. Naruto retorted. Are you saying that you want to join us? The bond my sister and I have, it's nothing like anyone else has. I do not think we can ever have that with you. Joseph said sadly. Perhaps. But let me put all the cards on the table and let you decide for yourselves what you want to do. Naruto said, his mask disappearing in a poof of smoke as his voice also returned to its normal tone. Joseph and Rose staring wide-eyed as they couldn't believe who it was that was standing in front of them. And Naruto Uzumaki? Why, you're our brother? You're Slade Wilson's son. Did you know that one of our plans was to kidnap you and have Joseph warp your mind so that we can use your financial resources for Hive? Rose asked incredulously. Well, I guess you can say that freely now that you know it's a nigh impossible task. Naruto said jovially. Like what the fuck? Did you always know about us? Why did you let us suffer like we did when you could have done something about it? Rose said angrily, seemingly trapped in a perpetual state of anger ever since their elder brother came into their lives. It is not that I did not want to, but rather that I couldn't. It would be much quicker and easier if I showed you rather than explained. If you would allow me, I can share my entire life with you telepathically. It should give you much better perspective than if I just told you. Naruto offered, Rose looking at Joseph to hear what he had to say, seeing as he was the expert in all things telepathy. It's okay, I'll make sure he doesn't do anything to alter our minds. But first, he has to tell us what he did to our men. Why are they just standing there like that? And why can't I feel their minds? Joseph asked warily. I put a stasis seal on each one of them. They are basically frozen in time until I either remove the seal or deactivate it. Naruto explained. A stasis what? How many powers do you have exactly? Rose asked incredulously. Technically I have one power, it is a cosmic force that I have dubbed the Chakra Force. Through training and imagination, I can use this force to create a limitless variety of effects. My only limitation is my imagination and determination. The training is also quite harsh. Naruto explained. I hear you talking, but you're making no sense. I mean, I sort of get it, but that comes with a million different questions. Your only limitation is your imagination? Are you some kind of god or something? Rose said incredulously, causing Naruto to laugh amusedly at that insinuation, especially because it couldn't be any more accurate. What are you laughing at? Rose asked defensively. I am laughing at the irony of you saying that without realizing how close you are to the truth. Naruto deadpanned. Oh great, he has a god complex. Could you be any more cliché? Rose said, rolling her eyes in disappointment. Rose, I think he's serious. Think about it. Nothing he has said so far has been a lie. I don't think he is the type that feels the need to lie in order to impress others. The truth has been more than enough so far. Joseph said, Rose not knowing who was the crazier of the two, her younger brother, or her elder brother. Joseph, that's bullshit. How can you believe he's an actual god? There are people in the world who would think you and I are gods if they saw the things we can do. Just because he is more powerful than us allegedly, doesn't mean that he is a god. Rose said stubbornly. There is only one way to find out for sure. Joseph said with steel in his eyes, surprising Rose with how much Joseph was actually willing to allow this guy that they just met to fiddle with their minds. Fine, whatever. Just get it over and done with already. Rose said, causing Joseph to smile with gratitude and joy, a smile that melted his sister's heart as she realized how hard it was to say no to him. 5 minutes later. Now I see where you get the sun-kissed blonde hair and the brilliant blue eyes from. Your mother, she really was beautiful. Rose said in awe, having just seen all of Naruto's memories from when he was still a baby up until now, Naruto leaving absolutely nothing at all out of the memories shared, sharing absolutely every moment with his siblings, Rose feeling like he went a little too overboard, like. Couldn't he have at least kept his sexcapades to himself? Still, he was right. Experiencing all of his memories gave them a much deeper understanding of him as a pers. As a god, and also about his motivations. They now knew. Without a shadow of doubt that he meant them no harm and that he had their best interests at heart. They also understood that it was all their father's fault that they hadn't met him yet, as he had forbidden him from making contact with Joseph, which meant that he couldn't make contact with Rose either, since he only learned about her through Joseph. Rose could honestly say she now felt like she had known him all her life, knowing his memories and experiences as if she lived them herself, and knowing and understanding his thought process and his plans. It all made her feel so much closer to him. The only issue she had was his willingness to overlook what their father did to him, to them. She understood that he was a ninja and that he was also a god, therefore the way he processed emotions was different to them, but still, how could he not be angry, how could he not hate that man with all his guts? Sure, he had actually spent a lot of time with him, but most of that time was just training and killing people. They never actually did hang out like father and son. No, she couldn't allow it. Not like this. Okay, maybe they made Slade pay a bit by tricking him and then almost killing him. Maybe deep down, she was relieved to learn that he was still alive and that he cared about them as his children, but no, she couldn't just allow him to take over their lives like that. They needed to keep their autonomy, and he needed to earn their forgiveness. Okay, we accept you, you can join us, In fact, I want you to lead us. I think you can be a better leader than I can be, not that I can't do it, and do it well, but I think you can do better. I like your ideas and your motivations. I believe you are what Hive truly needs, what we truly need. But those are our conditions. You lead Hive, not Slade, not Adeline, you. Joseph and I will be your partners. Rose said with conviction, Joseph understanding what his sister was thinking without even needing her to explain or needing to read her mind, although still surprised she was actually able to swallow her pride enough to say all of that out loud. What about father then? I somehow doubt he is the following orders type. Naruto retorted. He can earn our forgiveness by hunting down and killing the jackal, only when he brings his head to us will he have earned our forgiveness. Following that, he can continue with whatever it is that he was doing before now. If he wants to be part of Hive, then he will have to submit to your authority. He is also not allowed to actively work against us and must report any threats to us that he might come across, and naturally we must do the same for him. We can still look out for each other without him being a part of the organization. Joseph added. So he will be a close associate of the organization but not exactly a member? Naruto asked rhetorically. Yes, that goes for Adeline too. Those are our conditions, and they are not negotiable. Rose said with finality. Sounds good to me. I would have preferred to get the jackal myself, but I understand why you want to do things this way. Your conditions are acceptable, and I would be honored to be your partner. May Hive, under our leadership and guidance, bring light to the world from the shadows. Naruto said with a confident smirk. Good, now, Joseph, it's time for us to share our memories and thoughts with him. This will seal our bond as the Wilson siblings. May our bond hold firm and never shatter, not in this life or the next. Rose declared as Joseph blasted Naruto with his and Rose's memories, emotions, and thoughts, effectively sealing the bond between the children of the most dangerous assassin in the world. 2.5 hours later, back at the submarine, it's done. Naruto said as he appeared out of a swirling vortex. He preferred to use his own space-time techniques instead of a boom tube due to the fact that he didn't want to give Darkseid even the remote possibility of tracking him down. He knew that one day he might have to fight him anyway, but if it could be avoided, then he would rather not. He could have used his mother box to contact his mother, to finally see her again, as a fully conscious being instead of as a baby such as the last time he saw her, but he also didn't want to put her in an awkward and most of all dangerous situation. Because he had no doubt the Dark Lord would make her suffer greatly if he found out that she hid him from the Dark Lord, maybe even kill her. Still, he felt like much of the void at the center of his being was filled now that he was mentally, emotionally, and spiritually bonded to his siblings. A mother has her place that cannot be filled by anyone, but Kushina, in the short time that Naruto had her, was the best thing that ever happened to Naruto as far as he was concerned. So yes, he was going to be okay even if he never met Golotina again, he would be able to cope, he just hoped that she was also coping well without him. What do you mean it's done? Where is Joseph? Adeline asked warily, Slade not saying anything but the look he was giving Naruto spoke volumes in itself. We came to an understanding. Joseph has no intention of going back to the life he had, but he is willing to forgive the both of you. He only asks that you earn his forgiveness. Naruto replied. Earn it? How exactly am I supposed to do that? Slade trailed off as Naruto threw a flash drive at him. And there is all the information Rose and Joseph have on the jackal. You take out jackal for them, and that will serve as proof of your commitment and dedication to earning their trust and forgiveness. I offered to take out jackal myself, but they insisted that you be the one to do it. Naruto explained. You're lying. That doesn't sound like Joseph at all. He would never say something like that, he would never ask his father to kill just to earn his forgiveness. Adeline argued vehemently. Adeline, actually, it might be true. I mean, he legitimately tried to kill me, if it wasn't for my regenerative abilities I would be dead. Asking me to kill the jackal, who is the reason all of this happened in the first place, is a far lesser evil than killing your own father. Slade said with a heartbroken tone of voice. Slade. Adeline trailed off, not knowing what to say. She had never seen her husband so broken before, not even when she broke up with him and chased him away from their home. All she wanted to do was to hug him, comfort him, and tell him that everything was going to be okay, but she couldn't, not after all the lies and betrayals, not after everything. The most important thing to her now, the only important thing, was getting her son back. So what happens after that? Is he going to come home? Adeline asked hopefully, Naruto looking at her with sad eyes as he shook his head in the negative, not liking to at all to see a mother yearning so longingly for her child and being powerless to do anything about it, as it reminded him of his own situation with Gelatina and the late Kushina. But why? What are we killing the jackal for then? Adeline asked as she cried again, unable to help the free flow of tears even though she hated herself for it. She had told herself that she wouldn't cry anymore, that she was going to be strong, for her own sake, but most importantly, for Joseph's sake. But every word that came out of Nathaniel's mouth just made her want to release the loudest cry that she could master from the deepest depths of her soul. Joseph, he has a bond with Rose and I that he never had with you. They used Joseph's telepathy in order to share every memory, every experience, and every emotion that they ever had before, and they do this constantly. I also shared my memories and experiences with them so that they can know that I have their best interests at heart, and in return I also shared my memories and experiences with them so that they can know that I have their best interests at heart, and in return they shared theirs with me. We are bonded in ways that you couldn't possibly imagine. Naruto explained, taking a momentary pause before carrying on from where he left off. Joseph still loves you and he is willing to forgive you and allow you back in his life, that goes for Rose too. But it must be on their terms. After experiencing my entire life through telepathy, they decided to elect me as the new leader of Hive, and they as my partners. The two of you cannot be a part of the organization for obvious reasons, but they are willing to have you as a close associate of the organization, and they are also willing to try and rebuild the broken bonds between us. The ball is in your court now. Naruto concluded his explanation. How do we know you are not lying to us? Adeline asked suspiciously. He's not lying. Nathaniel would never lie about something like this. In fact, he has never lied to me in his life, and trust me, I have verified everything he has ever said to me. Besides, I just have to kill the jackal and we'll find out then if he was lying or not. Slade simplified everything. Fine, whatever. You just make sure I get my son back. I want him back, Slade, you hear me? Adeline demanded. Affirmative. Wintergreen, take this and sort it all out. Point me in the right direction. Slade ordered as he threw the flash drive at his best friend and partner. As you wish, sir, Wintergreen replied as he got on with fulfilling his mandate. Where will you go now? What will you do? Slade asked. I'm going back to my penthouse. I'm in serious need of a nap. Naruto retorted. I already know you don't need to sleep, dumbass. Slade said irritably. Hee, oh yeah. Well, actually, Supergirl was at my penthouse when I came over here, and she's still there. I left a shadow clone behind, but now that I've done what I came here to do, it's time for me to go back to her. I would stay and bond with my siblings, but you know, things need to go back to normal over there so that the jackal doesn't catch on. Besides, we already shared everything telepathically, they know everything about me and me them, so it isn't like we need to get to know each other better or anything. Naruto replied. What about me? Or do I just not matter to you? You're not interested in getting to know me? Or you don't think I want to get to know Joseph's brother? Adeline asked with a deep frown. I didn't think you know, since father and mother you know, since I'm like a love child and stuff. Naruto sputtered. Look, I hate your father for what he did. I mean, I don't hate him, but I hate him, you know. But that doesn't mean I hate you. You didn't do anything, you didn't make him create you, you didn't, right? Adeline asked just to make sure. After all, if God could make Jesus with Mary, then what if? Oh no. No, not at all. I did not exist until father and mother made me. Naruto said, half panicked and half amused. There you go then. Adeline said with finality, doing well to suppress her fear of the blonde-haired new god, also concluding that getting to know him better might help her to rid herself of that fear. If that was even possible, because as it was she constantly felt like she was staring at the face of death whenever he was in her presence. "Alright ma'am, I guess I'll stay for a while," Naruto said, scratching the back of his head sheepishly. 2 months later. "Quite an interesting setup you got going on here. The security is quite advanced," Rose said as she looked around her brother's office, not worried at all about being seen with her brother, as she officially did not even exist and the identity she was currently using was a false one, going by the name Samantha Midnight as her cover identity. "Nothing out of the ordinary for a multi-billion-dollar industry owned by the smartest person in the universe," Naruto retorted. "Boss, who is this woman? I've checked for her identity on the web matrix. I've searched every nook and cranny of it and my conclusion is that she is using a false identity. I couldn't however find her real identity. That has never happened to me before. The only other person that happened with was you," Zalika aka Hack said on Naruto's comms. "She is a woman from Africa, Kenya in particular, where she was kidnapped as a child because of her genius intellect and technological prowess and used to commit high-profile thefts as the gang's tech expert. She worked for the gang for years, under duress, until her brother was killed by the gang for stealing from them. And that's around the time her technopathic abilities kicked in and she used her powers to get revenge on the criminal organization that kidnapped her by trapping them in a computer and having a computer virus annihilate all the members, thus earning her freedom. The missing information in this story is that Naruto is the one who found her and gave her the advice to eliminate her gang members and emancipate herself when he was on one of Kitsune's secret missions in Kenya. The Kenyan government, at a great financial cost, had hired Kitsune in order to stop the plague on their state that was looting funds and valuable items, a plague they were unable to track down or monitor due to their incredible digital prowess. Naruto, or rather Kitsune, ever the meticulous one, had managed to track the gang down and also identified their secret, that secret being Zalika herself. After investigating her background, he had kidnapped her and then convinced her to emancipate herself and avenge her brother, convinced her that only she could truly help herself, but only if she had the courage to do so. Needless to say, she had found her courage and emancipated herself just as Naruto advised, avenging her brother in the process. However, she had been at a loss at what to do afterwards, but Naruto had told her she was free to do whatever she wanted as long as she moved away from the life of crime. Because otherwise they would inevitably meet again, as Naruto was sure that someone else would hire Kitsune and have him deal with her if she continued on that path. Seeing as Naruto had told her she could do whatever she wanted, Zalika had decided that she was going to become stuck to his hip until such a time that she discovered what she wanted to do, to which Naruto had accepted because, well, he was the one that said she could do whatever she wanted in the first place. A month later, Zalika had sworn an oath to always be at his side and to serve him until her dying breath, declaring that she liked working for him and wanted to be the force of good hiding in the shadows just like him. It was then that Naruto decided to train her in the ways of the assassin, as he had done with all of his loyal acolytes, namely, Hack, Brainwave, Instant, Painkiller, Looker, and Hourman. Perhaps and perhaps not. Nevertheless, I would appreciate it if we could get some privacy. The information I'm about to share with you is classified, even for your loyal henchmen. Samantha aka Rose Wilson said with an air of authority that neither Instant nor Poison Ivy could understand, this being Painkiller's day off, hence Instant instead of Painkiller being at Naruto's side. "I see. I do hope it isn't anything bad," Naruto said for pretense sake, he and Rose already having their real conversation telepathically, or rather, via mind transfer technique as Naruto would say. "Nothing of the sort. It is very good news, trust me," Rose said with a confident smirk. "Alright then. Instant, Ivy, please leave us," Naruto ordered authoritatively. "Sure thing the boss/no," Instant and Poison Ivy said at the same time, Instant immediately looking at his colleague as if she had grown a whole new head on her shoulders. "Excuse me?" Rose asked with a dangerous tone, angry on both hers and her brother's behalf at this blatant act of insubordination. "When you hired me as your PA and bodyguard, I only accepted because of the clause that I would be privy to all information regarding your business and your future plans. It's been 2 months and I'm no closer to knowing jack about what's going on. You haven't told me shit. I'm starting to think maybe I should have killed you after all. In fact, why don't I rectify that mistake right now? Ivy trailed off as she pulled out 2 sunflowers from the pockets of her blazer, having started to wear a more formal outfit since she started working for Naruto. Consisting of a black shirt and a green blazer along with a matching green skirt and a green tie. Yes, she has quite a thing for the color green. Damn girl, you don't have to pull out the sunflowers for this. What's wrong with you? Shut up. This has nothing to do with you. I'll have you know that I've set up a lot of my Flora friends in strategic locations all over this building. So I dare you, just try and teleport me out of here. Pamela said venomously, cutting Instant off mid-sentence. Should I do it, boss? Just give me the word and I'll take care of her. Hack said, only to be once again completely ignored by her boss. Pam, I know these are business hours, but Samantha and I are not doing wave consolidated business. This is other business that has nothing to do with what we do here or my plans related to clean energy and eco-activism. In other words, this particular business is none of your concern, so butt out. Naruto said sternly, Poison Ivy's eyes widening as realization dawned on her. You mean it's personal? Then you, and her. Pamela trailed off as she blushed in embarrassment, and envy deep within her heart that she didn't even understand as she was happily in love with Kite Man. Can you please excuse us now? Rose said with mischief dancing in her eyes, content to let Pamela believe that she and Nathaniel were an item. After all, in her experience, it always worked out best when people believed a lie that you didn't even have to tell. Okay, that was very unprofessional of me, to say the least. I'm so sorry. We are leaving right now, as in immediately. Instant, goddammit, when I say immediately it means teleport us away right now. Pamela exclaimed, taking out her frustrations on Instant, who only rolled his eyes at her as he grabbed her hand and teleported the 2 of them out of there. Scanners show neither the presence of Poison Ivy or her so-called Flora friends in or outside of your office. All is clear, Sir Hack reported, again not getting any response from her boss, although that in itself was acknowledgement according to their arrangement. I thought she would never leave. You really need a stronger leash around that dog of yours. Rose said as she finally sat down, her brother following suit as he sat across from her. None of my subordinates are shackled, they can leave whenever they want. Of course I would like them to stay, but nobody is forcing them to stay either. I have no use for people who do not want to be here. Naruto replied. Oh, I know that, I've been in your mind, remember. I was surprised at your methods, I have to admit, very un-ninja-like. But they do work very well. I was especially surprised that everyone at Hive chose to stay. I thought we would lose at least half of them when you gave them a choice. Rose retorted. People work far better, and are far more happy when they are at a place they chose for themselves. Nevertheless, that's not why you're here because you want to hit a government facility and steal their prized assets. It's risky. There is no telling what goes on in the minds of those guys. Naruto cautioned. Which is why it has to be either you or Jericho to take this mission. Alternatively, you could have that guy of yours, Brainwave was it? You could have him do it. Rose said suggestively. He's not a member of Hive. Naruto deadpanned. And why not exactly? Rose asked with a little bit of frustration in her tone. He will choose to join Hive, or he will not, at the time that I think is appropriate. Naruto said sternly. You're wasting precious time. Darkseid could literally attack the planet any time. We need an army of not just elite soldiers, but meta-humans too. You know this. Are you afraid if they join Hive they will no longer be your toys? Are you afraid of sharing your toys? That is so cliché. Rose said incredulously. They are not toys, metaphorically or otherwise. They are people that I care about. People that I treasure. Hive has been going through a lot of changes recently. We have to make the changes gradual in order to allow for seamless assimilation. Phase 1 and 2 are complete, and with your plan, it seems like Phase 3 is about to take place. My people will then be Phase 4 if they so choose. Naruto emphasized. Phase 1 had been the assassination of the Jackal, which had taken a whole month as the guy had proven himself to be very elusive even for the great Deathstroke the Terminator. But ultimately, their father had pulled through and delivered on his promise, bringing the head of the Jackal to his children as a gesture of goodwill. Phase 2 had been the systematic identification and assimilation of all the Hive factions into one, under the rule and control of Kitsune, Hive Queen, and Jericho, and that too had taken an entire month. "So you approve of my plan?" Rose asked excitedly, ignoring everything else that her brother said for the meantime. "It is a most brilliant and inspired plan. If we are able to successfully convert them, then they will be an invaluable addition to the organization. Our army's strength could double or even triple just by adding those 5 individuals," Naruto said thoughtfully. "We've already developed uniforms and a theme for them. We call them the Royal Flush, and by we I mean me," Rose said excitedly, and arrogantly. "Interesting. Send me the schematics for their uniforms and weapons. I want to see if there are any improvements I can make," Naruto replied. Of course. That was the plan from the get-go. "Now it's time to decide who will go, you Jericho or Brainwave," Rose said with a taunting smirk. "Has Jericho been on a solo mission before?" Naruto asked curiously, ignoring the Brainwave taunt for now. "No, he hasn't. That's mostly because of me. We haven't been apart since we met, even now he is waiting for me in the car. I'm finding it a bit difficult to let go. Is that normal? Am I too possessive?" Rose asked with uncertainty. "You both are, technically. But that's only true if one of you feels like the other is too possessive. If you are both okay and in fact content with the level of possession you hold over each other, then there is nothing wrong with it," Naruto retorted. "So, it's a subjective matter?" Rose asked curiously. "Precisely," Naruto retorted. "I see." Rose thought, seriously giving the matter some thought. Naruto noticed. "In any case, it's time Jericho went on a solo mission. He needs to be able to stand on his own. There might come a time where you will each have to fight your own individual battles. He will need to know what that feels like and how to overcome it. The same goes for you," Naruto replied. "I understand. And once the Royal Flush unit is debriefed, assimilated, and trained, what then?" Rose pressed further. "Then I will take the necessary steps to assimilate Hive into Wave Consolidated, and will of course breach the topic to my personal combat unit and bodyguards," Naruto replied. "What about Poison Ivy? You can't seriously be considering bringing in that nut job into the fold, can you? She's a loose cannon," Rose said skeptically. "That's part of the reason I have delayed the assimilation. I'm still studying her behavioral patterns, trying to earn her trust and hoping she earns mine. The situation with her is delicate, and while Hive is meant to be an organization dedicated to human excellence, she has absolutely no regard for human life or its potential. Change takes time, sister," Naruto explained. "Use your ninja seduction techniques or whatever. Give her some good new god dick and she will be swooning over you in no time at all," Rose said, half serious half joking. "Those techniques may come in handy one day, but I do not believe this is the time for that. Trust must be earned honestly and sincerely, otherwise it is meaningless, and whatever bond comes from that dishonesty is doomed to self-destruct," Naruto replied firmly. "A ninja with good morals? You're so weird, brother," Rose retorted. "Yes, well, this ninja is not a mere tool, nor are his subordinates. Every system has to evolve, so think of it as me evolving the ninja code," Naruto retorted. "Hee. You always have some weird philosophical retort waiting, don't you? Is there a ninja scroll somewhere in your penthouse full of those?" Rose asked incredulously. "Perhaps," Naruto said half jokingly. Whatever, Mr. Enigma. I have to go before Poison Ivy sends her legion of plants to investigate what's going on. I'll see you around, brother, and it goes without saying that I love you dearly," Rose said sincerely. "I love you too, always forever," Naruto replied with a genuine smile as he walked his sister to the door, the other part of his mind still analyzing the data that his sister had telepathically shared with him. Long ago, the government kidnapped 5 children who had special gifts. One was a big, athletic kid of African American lineage who had super strength and super durability as his powers. The other 4 were all European American, a girl with the ability to control magnetic fields, another with dangerous telepathic abilities, and 2 boys, one with the ability to manipulate fire and plasma energy, and the other who had the power of elasticity. Basically meaning he could stretch his body and transform it into basically any shape or form he wanted. These kids, against their will, had been trained as weapons in a secret government facility, and it was Hive's plan to liberate them and offer them sanctuary as members of Hive. It was both Naruto's and Rose's hope that Joseph aka Jericho succeeded in his mission of recruiting the would-be Royal Flush unit. Brother, sister. That woman is your sister? I thought there was a strange bond between the two of you, but I didn't know it was something like this. And this Jericho, who is he to her? Who is he to you? Why did you allow me to listen to this conversation? You never do anything without a reason. Hack asked a whole lot of questions, slightly frustrated by the fact that she even had to ask, given the fact that attaining all information on any matter was kind of her specialty. Her real name is Rose Wilson, her alias is Hive Queen. Jericho's real name is Joseph Wilson, and my real name, as you know, or rather my other name, is Nathaniel Wilson. And yes, they are also, like me, the children of Deathstroke the Terminator. Naruto replied. And the three of you are part of a secret organization known as Hive? Hack asked curiously, her surprise only supplanted by her curiosity. We are the ringleaders, with me at the top of the hierarchical chain. As for the answer as to why I allowed you to overhear the conversation, I think it should be obvious, shouldn't it? I mean, Rose and I did breach the topic in our conversation. Naruto replied. You want to ask me to join Hive? As if you actually need to ask me that question. Of course I will join Hive, I'd be honored, Sir Hack replied excitedly. In that case, it is time for me to take your training to the next level. Naruto retorted. The next level? There is a next level? Hack asked incredulously, pretty sure that apart from her boss, no one was a better hack than she was. You have mastered technological and software interfacing with Earth technology, but there are so many different kinds of technology from all across the universe, so many far more advanced technologies than what you are used to. So from now on, we will be focusing on that. Naruto explained. I'm assuming you somehow have access to these technologies? Hack asked curiously. Naturally. Your training will take place on Saturdays and Sundays. You can forget about enjoying your weekends for the foreseeable future. Naruto instructed. Roger that, sir, Hack acknowledged enthusiastically. Good. Now contact Instant and tell him to bring Ivy back to my office. You are hereby dismissed. Naruto said with authority. Consider it done. Enjoy the rest of your day, sir. You too. Naruto replied with a small smile, even though Hack couldn't see it from where she was. A short while later. I didn't know you had a girlfriend. Pamela said awkwardly, she and Naruto the only ones remaining in his office after he sent Instant away so that he can have a one-on-one with Poison Ivy. That's not what I wanted to talk to you about. I called for you so that I can tell you my plan, or rather my goal. It is rather simple. Wave Consolidated is not the only company I own. I have dozens of shell corporations all across the world. I'm using these shell corporations in order to create the illusion of a free market, but in actuality I am creating a worldwide monopoly. Eventually I will be the sole producer of all forms of energy, and in that way I will ensure that I create a technologically advanced, but eco-friendly Earth. Naruto explained, Poison Ivy's eyes widening at the sheer scope and magnitude of the youngest billionaire's ambitions. You mentioned something about me having the potential to influence who becomes president by funding political parties that support yours and my ambitions. That's a brilliant idea, very inspired, but you've only scratched the surface. In other words, you're thinking way too small. Naruto said cryptically. I don't understand. Ivy said confusedly. I foresee a future where there are no longer any political parties, where the world is united under one banner, my banner. I foresee a future where corporations do not need to fund political parties but simply run countries themselves, Naruto elaborated. And since you'll have a monopoly that branches throughout the entire planet, you'll run every country in the world, and therefore the world itself. Poison Ivy trailed off. Eyes wide in shock and awe as she instantly developed a much higher level of respect and admiration for the sun-kissed new god. Precisely. Now, I'm going to be frank. There is a lot I haven't told you about me, a lot that you do not know. You haven't earned that level of trust yet, and there is no guarantee you ever will. However, I happen to believe in second chances, so I'm willing to give you a chance. Consider me sharing this info with you as a form of graduation, but this would be the equivalent to you graduating high school. As you can imagine, you still have a long way to go. Naruto said sternly. I understand, sir, I'll do my best. Ivy said rigidly, unable to help herself as for some reason she couldn't explain she felt compelled to do as this man asked, like she wanted to go out of her way to impress him, and to please him. Good. Now, a lot has happened in a short space of time, so I will allow you a 1-hour break just to process everything. You're dismissed. Naruto said, arbitrarily ending the conversation right then and there, Ivy thanking him for his generosity as she made a quick exit of the office, feeling grateful as she felt like she really had a lot to process and needed to regather herself. Quickly locking up the office, Naruto quickly activated the 3D screen in his office and switched on the live Supergirl interview that was playing on Catco News. Internally noting just how quickly things had changed in the last 2 months, as before he and Supergirl started hanging out and having dinner together literally every night, he would have never been caught blowing off working hours to watch a Supergirl interview. But she had told him about it last night and asked him to watch her first live appearance on screen. As much as he hated to admit it, he would feel horrible if he had to tell her that he missed it. His pride and ego was yelling at him to ignore the interview and not become influenced and changed by a stupid girl in blue spandex. But his mind and heart were telling him that Supergirl was worth all the trouble and that she was the kind of person he needed to associate with in order to remind himself that there really is goodness in the world, pure, genuine kindness and goodness. Am I some kind of idiot? Naruto thought out loud, eyes wide as he realized, or rather remembered, that there was no such thing as shirking your responsibilities when you can literally make real-life clones of yourself and make them do all of the metaphorical heavy lifting. Shadow clone jutsu. Naruto said with his hands formed into a cross-hand sign, an exact replica of him appearing next to him and immediately starting with the work that Naruto was meant to be doing. Supergirl is turning me into an idiot, or maybe her idiocy is contagious. Naruto thought as he smacked his hand against his forehead. 6 hours ago. So, Supergirl, let's get the obvious questions out of the way. Are you in fact, like Superman, a Kryptonian, and if you are, what is the relationship between the two of you? Are you his wife, his sibling, his friend, or is there absolutely no relation between the two of you? Kat asked curiously. She was a little disappointed to have only gotten an afternoon slot for the Supergirl interview, whereas Superman had been able to get a prime-time interview slot on his first public interview with Lois Lane of the Daily Planet. Had she been a lesser person, she might have been tempted to accuse the media of gender bias, but she knew for a fact that wasn't the case. Supergirl had saved a lot of lives, yes, but Superman had just saved the entire planet from a Kryptonian army invasion when he got his first interview. In fact, it wasn't even an invasion, it was an attempted eradication of the species. There was also the fact that Superman was the first of his kind, so there was a lot of novelty surrounding the situation, whereas with Supergirl it was more of a been there seen that situation. Kat therefore knew that, well, that it was what it was and there really wasn't much she could do about it without playing the victim to the public, in other words, manipulating the public by telling lies, which was something she would never do. She just hoped that in time Supergirl would be able to live up to the Superman legacy, or dare she say it, surpass it. Well, as you already know, Superman's real name is Kal-El, mine is Kara Zor-El, so yes, we are family members. My father and his father were brothers, so he is my close cousin. I was actually sent here to protect him and to guide him towards his destiny, but for reasons I cannot disclose, his pod made it to Earth before mine while I was stuck in another dimension where time has no meaning. That is why, despite being born 13 years before he was, I am now actually younger than he is. Kara explained, trying to summarize the story into as short a version as she could without making it hard to understand. In another dimension? Okay, that's not normal at all, I mean none of it is, but we'll leave it at that for now. This interview is not necessary about learning about your past more than it is about getting to know Supergirl the person. So with that said, are you and your cousin close? And the symbol on your chest, is it a family crest? Kat asked. We are not as close as I would have liked, In fact, for a long time I felt like he abandoned me. However, the bond between us is unbreakable. I will always love him just as I am sure he will always love me. And yes, it is a family crest, it looks like an S, but where we come from this symbol stands for hope. Kara explained with a nostalgic smile. Hope, huh? That sounds like a wonderful ideal. It is. It is what drives both me and my cousin. I would like to believe that we are the embodiments of that ideal, or at least I know that we both try our best to be. Supergirl said earnestly. I see. So Supergirl, are your people attracted to human beings? I mean, you obviously aren't like us with you being practically invincible and all, but you do look like us humans, albeit perfect versions of us. What I'm trying to say is there a love interest somewhere out there? And can you tell us about him or her? Kat asked with both curiosity and excitement. Well, yes. Yes there is. Kara said excitedly, unable to contain her excitement try as she might. And he's human? Kat asked, surprised. Why yes, I mean, to the best of my knowledge he is. Kara said joyously. Oh my god, look at you. I know that look, Supergirl, you're in love. Kat said as realization dawned on her. What? And no. PSSH. I'm not in love, I just like him a lot. That's all. Kara sputtered, blushing up a storm as her cheeks turned bright red. Supergirl, I can see it all over your face. You have to tell the audience, I'm sure the whole world is just dying to know who the lucky bastard is. Kat insisted. Well, I can't tell you his name of course, but he is tall, very tall but not too tall you know. He's in great shape and he is young, successful, handsome, very, very intelligent, funny, weird but good weird you know, lovable weird. He's also very sweet but in a roundabout sort of way. He tries to pretend he doesn't care but then he does things that show that he really does care. Supergirl tried to explain without giving away too much detail. He also has this presence about him, like you know, like military commander or a CEO or something. He commands a lot of respect without actually demanding it. He has the body of a Greek god but he is also kind of a geek. He's Greek geek, or a cross between a jock and a nerd. Supergirl said, smiling and laughing fondly as she tried to imagine the look on her crush's face at being called a Greek geek. We've been seeing each other for 2 months now, but we haven't taken the relationship to the next level yet, but I think we could, maybe soon. I don't know. Oh my god, I forgot he's actually listening to the interview. Supergirl squealed, covering her face with her hands in embarrassment. Wow, honestly that was more information than I expected, but that only proves that you are in love with him. Kat said triumphantly. What? That doesn't prove anything. Supergirl exclaimed in complete denial about her feelings. When you love someone the way you love him, you cannot stop talking about them. If someone asks one question that you can answer in one sentence, you can end up talking the whole day about that person. At the very least you have a very real and strong crush on him. Kat said confidently. Well, when you put it like that then I guess you make a good point. Kara admitted. Good, now tell us his name. Kat urged. Never. I would never jeopardize his life like that. I have very dangerous enemies. I can't do that to him. Kara said sternly. Where does he live? Kat persisted. Not in National City, that's all you are going to get. Kara said defensively. Okay fine. I know I have intruded on your privacy, so I will back off now. Kat said, although internally she was happy that she had managed to get Supergirl to reveal that much information as she was sure that with what she had she could narrow it down and figure out who the mystery man was, or at least she could make a list of potential suspects. Thank you. Supergirl said with gratitude. So, crime fighting. Do you have a sidekick? If not, do you plan to get one? Is there someone helping you in the shadows? Oh, and do you have a secret identity? Kat asked numerous questions consecutively, the rest of the interview carrying on in that light-hearted tone as Kat didn't want to drive Supergirl away. She wanted Supergirl to feel comfortable with her and Katko. In other words, this interview was a welcoming gesture so to speak. If Supergirl felt comfortable and enjoyed her first interview at Katko, then she would definitely come back again, which is when Kat planned to ask the real, hard questions. For now, getting to know the girl of steel and formally introducing her to the citizens was good enough. Currently, I guess you're angry about the interview, Supergirl said self-consciously. She was sitting on Naruto's dinner table, in his penthouse, as they did every single night for the last 2 months now, and as usual, she was in her Supergirl costume and he was in one of his expensive suits, except without the tie and the blazer. Why would you think I am angry at you? Naruto asked curiously. You haven't spoken a word since I arrived, Supergirl said incredulously. Nor have you. Are you angry with me? Naruto asked. No, of course not, Supergirl said firmly. See? Not talking does not equal to angry, Naruto countered, Supergirl looking at him like he had just grown a whole new head on his shoulders, Naruto trying, and failing to contain the mischievous smile that was threatening to form on his facial features. Wait, you did that on purpose? You butthole, Supergirl said half angrily half amusedly. Butthole? Seriously? What's the difference between ass and butt? It's the same thing. You can say asshole, you know, Naruto said, rolling his eyes at how innocent Supergirl was. I thought you would be angry because I talked about you on TV. I know that we haven't really taken things to the next step and that I had no right to. Kara, it's okay. I mean, it's not really okay that you have put a microscope on me, but I understand that it was an innocent mistake. You have to learn from it though and try not to make the same mistake again, Naruto replied calmly. Which part was a mistake exactly? Kara asked with a raised eyebrow, feeling a little insecure as she found herself wondering if Naruto actually had any serious intentions about her. She knew that she was the one that made a move on him, the one that kept coming to his apartment uninvited, because she was uninvited, even if she was never once turned away or made to feel unwelcome, not counting the first night she came of course. Still, everything about their relationship thus far was about her one-sidedly pushing things in a certain direction, and while there was no resistance whatsoever from the blonde Uzumaki, there also wasn't exactly much effort from him. The part where you revealed my identity. It seems you aren't aware, but Catco has released a poll of suspected Supergirl suitors on their social media website, and I'm the lead suspect. Most fans have voted that they believe that I am Supergirl's secret lover. The fact that my name appeared on the poll in the first place would have been a matter of concern, but the fact that I am the lead suspect makes things all the more complicated, Naruto explained, Kara's eyes wide as her mouth opened and closed repeatedly without any words coming out. It also makes things worse that you gave a time frame to how long we have been seeing each other. The public are not as naive as you might have thought. They figured it out that 2 months ago is around the time that you and I first met on the rooftop of Wave Consolidated, Naruto retorted, Kara's heart sinking further and further into a pit as Naruto spoke, realizing what an absolute blunder she had made. I'm so sorry, Naruto-kun. I had no idea my answers gave away so much information. I really thought I was being careful not to reveal anything significant. Kara apologized sincerely, feeling horrible about the kind of trouble and danger she had wrought upon Naruto's life with her actions. I'm not angry with you. Like I said, I know it was an honest mistake. I know you would never endanger my life intentionally. There is nothing to forgive, I only ask that you learn from your mistake, that's all, Naruto replied. Is that why you asked me to sweep the area when you opened the window for me? Because everyone suspects you and I to be in a relationship, Supergirl asked curiously. Indeed. It only makes sense for people to start watching my penthouse in order to catch us in the act. Villains, media, and other unknown parties that have a vested interest in me, you, or us together will now be monitoring my place of residence. My security is tight though. This penthouse is quite the fortress, and so is my workplace. I've beefed up security ever since Poison Ivy's attack, Naruto replied. Naruto-kun, my enemies are super villains, some of which give even me a run for my money. I think whatever this is, we should end it. I think I've ruined it beyond repair. It's best we stop now before you get hurt, Kara said, trying and failing to hold back the tears that started falling from her eyes. Well, that's up to you. Personally, I would be very hurt and disappointed if you pulled out now. I was actually planning to ask you to be my girlfriend, Naruto deadpanned, much to Kara's utter surprise, unable to believe the information her brain was retrieving from her ears. Naruto, if he noticed the stunned silence, doing well not to show it as he simply continued with his monologue. I know it's customary to ask someone out on a date before making such a proposal, but seeing as you and I cannot be seen in public, then I thought that. Naruto trailed off as Supergirl flew across the table and tackled him to the ground. The girl of steel taking matters into her own hands as she began fervently kissing the blonde Uzumaki, straddling him and grinding her crotch against his own, the result being an instant, large, and hard erection, Kara marveling at the sheer size of it. Unable to believe how much her crush was packing. Wait. It's actually my boyfriend now. He just asked me out after all. Row, I haven't even answered him and I'm already. Kara trailed off as realization dawned on her. This means yes, in case you were wondering. Kara tried to say in a confident and sexy tone, and surprising managed to pull it off perfectly, the blonde Uzumaki falling deeper into her clutches as he couldn't hold himself back anymore. Getting to his feet instantly as he picked up his now girlfriend and practically glided toward his room, a squeal of joy escaping from Kara's throat as she clamped around her boyfriend, arms around his neck and legs tightly wrapped around his waist. Excitement and lust building up rapidly in anticipation of what would forever be marked as one of the happiest and most pleasurable evenings of her entire life. 3 days later, undisclosed location. Gentlemen, an opportunity has presented itself before us, and I believe that this could be a game changer. Amanda Waller said as she pressed a button on a screen controller in her hand, the gigantic screen showing one large image of one person, namely, Uzumaki Naruto. She is big-boned, chubby woman of African American heritage, who has short black hair and beautiful brown eyes, wearing a blue blazer, white shirt, blue skirt along with a black pantyhose and black shoes. She was the only woman in the room, surrounded by 7 powerful men, including State Secretary of Defense and head of Project Hell, General Lane, head of the ASA, Percy Odell, head of Argus, Colonel Steve Trevor, head of Cadmus, General Wade Eiling, and head of the DAO General Calvin Swanwick. Let me get this straight, this has something to do with that media gossip nonsense about Supergirl being in a relationship with the boy genius Naruto Uzumaki, right? General Swanwick asked with a large degree of incredulity in his tone. As head of the DAO, he had never trusted Superman and had dedicated all of his strength and resources to finding out as much information about Superman as possible, including but not limited to his secret identity, place of residence, secret lair, close friends, allies, family, and his strengths and weaknesses. It wasn't that Superman had done anything to make General Swanwick doubt him, in fact, it was the complete opposite. But, for someone with that much power to be that good was just hard to believe. And even then, good or bad, for him to just simply exist as he was a matter of serious national and planetary security. However, Supergirl had come around and had voluntarily decided to work with the DAO. Technically she didn't work for the DAO, but she was as accommodating to them as they were to her, and the relationship was a surprisingly very good one. In her time there, Swanwick had gotten to know her very well and had even begun to see her as his protégé. Everyone at the DAO loved her, and General Swanwick actually had no doubt that if he ordered everyone to kill Supergirl, at least 75% of them would outright refuse and turn against the DAO, and the rest would drag their feet about while trying to stall as much as possible. She was good people, loyal people. She genuinely cared for the people of Earth, and General Swanwick had seen firsthand the lengths she would go to in her efforts to protect humankind. So whatever Waller was up to, the General had no intention of supporting her whatsoever. Nonsense, you say? Those words sound absolutely devoid of reason and objectivity, General Swanwick. Don't tell me that you have become attached to this alien thing. Amanda asked with disgust. Waller, at the DAO I deal with aliens on a daily basis. I agree that we must have means to protect ourselves from them, and I am willing to do what it takes to do that. But to refer to aliens as things? Just who is the one devoid of objectivity here? Without even mentioning the fact that aliens are obvious sentient beings, there is also the fact that 99% of the ones that we have encountered have superior technology to us. If a mere thing can have superior technology to us, then what does that make us? Swanwick asked incredulously. Oh, for God's sake, quit your petty squabbling and just get to the damn point. What have you found out about Naruto Uzumaki? What is his connection to Supergirl? Do you have anything we can use? General Wade Eiling asked impatiently. As a matter of fact, I do. Take a look at this. Amanda said as she pressed a button on her screen controller, causing another image to appear to replace the one of Uzumaki Naruto, an image showing Supergirl flying through Metropolis, and another image showing a gigantic black spot. What are we looking at here, Amanda? General Lane asked curiously. In the last 3 days since Supergirl's interview, I have had surveillance over every one of the suspects listed at Catco. Every day, at between 8 p.m. and 10 p.m., Supergirl was seen flying towards this blank spot. Uzumaki Naruto's penthouse is located around this blank spot. Amanda explained. That's a radius of 4 miles, Amanda. Do you have any idea how many buildings are contained in a 4-mile radius in Metropolis? General Swanwick asked condescendingly. I think the more important question is why there is a blank spot to begin with around that area. Steve Trevor asked curiously. Something, probably some new advanced technology or even alien technology, is blocking any satellite imaging of that area. Uzumaki Naruto runs the most advanced technological and bioengineering institute in the world. He is the obvious suspect here. Supergirl is also an alien from Krypton. I don't need to tell any of you how advanced their technology is. Either way, that Supergirl has gone to this blank area, where Uzumaki Naruto also happens to reside, every day since the Catco interview and the release of Catco's poll, would suggest that Uzumaki Naruto is in fact Supergirl's love interest. It is not absolute proof, but we are not policemen nor are we the judiciary. We do not need proof beyond reasonable doubt, we just need common sense. Amanda replied diabolically. I am in agreement with Miss Waller. Although common sense is not common to everyone, I am inclined to believe that at the very least everyone in this room possesses the ever-elusive common sense. With that said, I move we vote right as of now. Raise your hands if you support Amanda's plan. Agent Percy Odell said as he raised his hand in the air. He is a bald-headed man of African descent, possessing dark skin and a piercing stare. He appears to be a well-mannered man, and yet also possesses a frightening presence, like how one would feel if they were standing next to a sociopath, and perhaps he was one, in fact. One would be hard-pressed to believe that none of the men and women in the room were not in fact sociopaths given how much lying, manipulation, and outright murder of the innocent they were capable of in the so-called name of national and planetary security. We do not even know what her plan is, you dimwit. General Eiling said rudely. She called us here at 5 in the morning. She obviously has a plan and she intends to fulfill it today. Do we really need the finer details? This Naruto Uzumaki has become a billionaire without having a single binding government contract, and continues to refuse to produce weapons for the government. We need some sort of leverage over him, as we do over Supergirl. General Lane said sternly. I thought we had Lex Luthor for that. He has served us well, has he not? Do you intend to throw him out like trash, with everything that he knows about us? General Eiling asked warily. Why does it have to be either or? Why not secure them both? And why would we be content with just Lex Luthor? Lex Luthor has the second best technology in the world, why should we settle with second best? Isn't it about time we brought that pompous child Naruto Uzumaki to heel? Amanda asked rhetorically. Fine, I stand corrected. You have my vote. General Eiling said irritably, raising his hand up in the air in support of Amanda. Not that Waller ever doubted that he would, because if there was one thing that she knew about General Eiling it was how obsessive he was about state authority. And how angry he was about heroes and rich billionaires refusing to submit themselves to state authority. In fact, the same could be said about all of these men, even Steve Trevor and Calvin Swanwick. They were currently compromised because of their feelings for Wonder Woman and Supergirl respectively, but one cannot change their nature so easily, and Waller knew that better than anyone out there. As you have mine. Whatever your plan is, make sure it works and make sure that it doesn't backfire. I've never seen any of these aliens, Supergirl included, as our allies, but they haven't been our direct enemies either. Whatever their endgame is, we are fortunate that they haven't attacked us directly yet. If you piss off Supergirl, and by extension Superman as well, I shudder to think what it would take to defeat them, if we even could. General Lane said gravely, nevertheless raising his hand in the air as he voted in support of Amanda Waller's plan. We know the weaknesses of the Kryptonians, General. Magic, red sun UV rays, and most of all, kryptonite. They can be defeated. They are not the gods that they pretend to be. Amanda replied with contempt. Let us hope that you are right then. General Lane said, along with everyone else taking note of how Colonel Trevor and General Swanwick did not raise their hands, not that any of them were surprised really. The results are 3 votes to 2. Thank you for your time, ladies and gentlemen. I will call you all back here for a debrief when I have both Naruto Uzumaki by the balls and Supergirl by her indestructible breasts. As for you, General Swanwick, if you do or say anything to tip Supergirl off or help her in any way whatsoever. Waller trailed off, leaving the threat hanging in the air for Swanwick to put the rest of the sentence together. Later that morning, 10 a.m. Sir, you have a visitor, and she bypassed all security to get to your office. She appears to have teleported to your office. Hack said, Naruto simply raising an eyebrow at that as he wondered who would have the audacity to do such a thing, not to mention the power or means to teleport themselves to, well, anywhere. What should I do, sir? Hack asked warily. Leave her be for now. Continue protecting the digital mainframe and run a deep dive on her background. That's all for now. She'll have to wait until I am done with my meeting. Naruto replied, using his mind transfer technique in order to communicate telepathically with his subordinate. Consider it done, sir, Hack replied in the affirmative. Naruto was currently in a management meeting, having gathered all the heads of department for the regular monthly meeting and debrief. Some might have wondered why he was acting so nonchalant about there being a stranger that could seemingly teleport anywhere within his business premises. However, there really was no need to worry, at least as far as Naruto was concerned. All the sensitive areas were protected with sensor and life form detection seals, space-time barriers and alarm barriers. There were also trap seals that were all over the sensitive areas, so there really was no need to worry. And if someone tried to walk in and attack his staff or physically make their way to the sensitive areas, they would have to deal with Looker's super-powered and super-fast and skilled Sangha. Naruto hadn't put space-time barriers around his office specifically because he wanted to personally deal with whoever would dare to go straight for him, and because apart from his computer, which was protected by the most advanced tech and software on Earth, and was also protected by arguably the best technopath in the world, there really was nothing of value anyone could steal from his office. I've found some information about her, sir. It was heavily protected, far more protected than information on the president himself, but it was nothing I couldn't handle. Very interesting and horrifying stuff, sir, Hack said gravely. Open your mind to me. It will be quicker that way. Naruto ordered, Hack doing as instructed as she tried to project her thoughts to her leader, Naruto doing the rest as he downloaded all the information he needed from her. Project Ultiman, huh? From what I have gathered, the project is near its completion. He. Another government meta-human project for Hive to swoop in and steal right from under their noses. Naruto laughed diabolically. Sir, they're being implanted with false memories. Since your brother is currently dealing with the Royal Flush Unit situation, perhaps Brainwave can handle this one. It's right up his alley. Hack said, much like Rose did a few days ago. Naruto couldn't help but notice, but as he did with Rose, Naruto rejecting Hack's proposal. Oh no, my beloved protege, this one is on me. I'll handle it. Naruto said diabolically. As you wish, sir, but what about her? What about the Suicide Squad? What about everything else she has done? And most importantly, shouldn't the fact that she is who she is be a matter of concern? I mean, what could she possibly want from you? Hack asked warily. The Suicide Squad is of no consequence to me. 99% of them have earned their sentence. Even the ones that haven't are not worth the risk of rescue, as they are probably one step away from earning their sentence anyway. As for what she wants with me, isn't it obvious? She is here to try and leverage me to become one of her government stooges. Naruto replied while at the same time competently holding and directing the management meeting, such was the sheer magnitude of his godly brain capacity. You think this has something to do with Supergirl, sir? I mean, it's obvious that you and her are, you know. Zalika said, unable to finish her sentence as images of her boss and Supergirl doing the deed overloaded her brain. That obvious, huh? Well, perhaps it is the reason Waller is here then. Now that you mention it, I think I'm going to need a favor from you. 2 hours later. Hello, Miss Waller. I was informed about your arrival, but unfortunately I was in a very important business meeting at the time. I apologize for the inconvenience of making you wait for 2 hours. Naruto said with a complete lack of sincerity in his tone, a deep frown instantly morphing onto Waller's facial features as she tried to figure out how the hell this kid knew who the hell she was in the first place, much less that she was in his office the whole time. Seeing as no one had come into the office since she teleported inside. How do you know who I am? Amanda asked with a threatening undertone. We live in dangerous times, Miss Waller, and information is the greatest resource one can have in order to successfully navigate these treacherous waters. Naruto retorted, not even making eye contact with his guest as he continued to type something on his computer, much to Waller's dismay and anger. I'm here to I think I would rather show you. Waller said as she unfolded the A2 chart that she was carrying on Naruto's table, a chart that contained images of Supergirl and images of a blank spot along with some other information that was related to the images. And this is Supergirl traveling towards the direction of your penthouse every evening since her Catco interview, and an image of the blind spot that you have somehow created around the area of your penthouse. We also couldn't help but notice that this blind spot only appears at around the time that Supergirl travels in that direction but is otherwise non-existent at all other times of the day. Waller said with the tone one would have when they were calling a checkmate. Interesting, for garbage that is to say. I mean, come on, Miss Waller, this literally proves nothing. There is absolutely no proof that this so-called blind spot is caused by me. By the looks of this chart, it covers a 4-mile radius. It could be caused by anyone in and around that area. Naruto retorted. Your penthouse is at the center of that radius. Common sense would suggest that you are indeed the cause of it, and it is because you want to hide your relationship with Kara Zor-El. Waller argued. Okay, let us say it were true, it isn't, but let's say it was, so what? What does that have to do with you? Naruto asked incredulously. We know Supergirl's cover identity. We've known from the moment she arrived on planet Earth and was taken in by the Danvers family. In fact, her adopted father agreed to work for us and in exchange we would stay away from her. That deal was on the premise that Kara Danvers maintained a normal human life, but by taking up the mantle of Supergirl, she has essentially broken the terms of our agreement. However, we are willing to make a new deal, with you. We tend to be generous like that. Waller said arrogantly. Kara Danvers, huh? Interesting. I assume this is about weapons technology, right? Naruto asked rhetorically. That and anything that we want you to make or do for us. Waller deadpanned. I see. You are a clever woman, diabolical, possibly evil, but clever. Your plan might have worked too if there was anything going on between Supergirl and I. As things stand, however, you are merely grasping at straws, non-existent straws, mind you. I have no connection to Supergirl, and even if I did, there wouldn't be anything you can do or say to make me work for you. Naruto retorted, pulling something out from his suit jacket and throwing it at Waller as he finished speaking. Just in case you get any other future bright ideas, it might be worthwhile for you to remember that you aren't made of steel either. Naruto said darkly, Waller's eyes widening in surprise and fear when she saw what was on the card Naruto threw at her, that being a picture of Amanda, her 3 children, and her ex-husband. Another reason I had to make you wait, I printed this on my way here. Naruto explained with a calm and carefree tone. How did you get this? Waller asked frantically. Come now, Waller, if the government wants my technology and resources so badly, then obviously my technology and resources are far superior to the government's. It's what did you call it, common sense. Naruto countered. You piece of shit. Waller said as she pulled a gun on the youngest billionaire in the world. Not so fun when you are at the receiving end, is it? You're a typical bully, Miss Waller, and there is nothing I hate more than a bully. You have 3 seconds to put that pistol away, otherwise I cannot be held responsible for my actions from here on out. Naruto said with a threatening undertone, Waller's arm shaking in fear and uncertainty as she realized that she had just walked into a lion's den without even realizing it. 3-2. Naruto trailed off as, in the blink of an eye. He was able to kick his desk upward, and before Waller could even react, her gun had already been launched out of her hand when the desk smashed into it, and she had already been pulled under the desk by her legs and smashed face first into the wall behind Naruto. The nerd proving to have far more physical strength and speed than Waller could have imagined, although in hindsight she should have known better given how athletic and physically intimidating he looked. You think being a government stooge gives you license to mess with people's lives? Huh, Waller? Naruto asked with a deceptively calm tone as he picked Waller up from the floor with a chokehold, lifting her high up in the air with just one arm, Waller looking like a train had just run through her face as there was blood everywhere. Spotting a broken nose and missing teeth as some of the teeth had been knocked clean out of her upon impact against the steel walls of Naruto's office. Why you won't get away with this? Waller managed to squeeze out through the pain, the haziness, and the vice grip around her throat. I won't get away with this? You really are a sociopath, aren't you? You really don't know that you are the wrong party here? The world doesn't need evil like you. I'll do the world a favor and get rid of you, Naruto said as a black nanosuit formed under his business suit, covering his entire body, hands, face, and head, the eyes of the suit glowing a menacing red as Naruto subjected Waller to one of his death stares. At the same time this was happening, the glass window in Naruto's office slid upwards so that he can walk onto the balcony, still carrying Waller with his right hand around her throat as he went to the edge of the balcony, and just as he expected. Multiple rounds were fired at him as soon as he stepped onto the balcony. Waller's sniper goons posted all around, wave consolidated and firing unceremoniously at the blonde Uzumaki, but to no avail as his protective armor did all the work for him and deflected all of the shots. Promethium weave mesh suit. It's a little invention of mine, one that your government will never get its hands on, Naruto told Waller with a now distorted voice thanks to the voice modulator in his suit, Waller surprisingly still conscious despite the beating and the strangulation she suffered, although just barely. Of course, Naruto didn't actually need the suit because bullets could bounce off of his skin just fine, but he couldn't afford for people to learn that little secret about him, not just yet, and if possible, not ever. Therefore, the Promethium suit would have to do for now. Goodbye, Amanda Waller. It was a displeasure to know you, Naruto said as he threw Waller off of the 50-story building, watching in anticipation as he wanted to see how Waller would get herself out this jam, and if not, then he at least wanted to watch her splatter on the pavement so that he could be sure that he was rid of her. What the hell are you doing? You could go to jail because of this, Hack exclaimed incredulously, unable to believe the sheer recklessness with which her boss was acting right now. Oh please Zalika. This woman officially doesn't exist as far as the government wants people to know, nor does her government division. I can't go to jail for killing someone who doesn't exist now, can I? Naruto asked rhetorically. However, before Hack could respond, the most peculiar thing happened as it appeared that a person teleported directly to Waller, wrapped their arms around her, and teleported away again with Amanda Waller. The two aforementioned people instantly appearing a few meters behind Naruto as he quickly turned around to face his enemies, having sensed the strong magic that was being used for the teleportation. So this was the source of your teleportation powers? What is she, a sorcerer? Naruto asked with a raised eyebrow. Let us call her an essential resource for now, Waller replied, Naruto unable to help but to take note of the fact that all of Waller's injuries had already been healed by whatever this entity was, as Naruto was able to tell that she wasn't human because he could sense the demonic power coming from her. She had red hair and glowing emerald eyes. She was also wearing a short-sleeved green form-fitting bodysuit with long form-fitting black boots that reach up to her lower thighs. She also had on a dark green hooded cloak and overall, despite her demonic aura and appearance, looked like one of the most beautiful women Naruto had ever seen in his life. An essential resource, you say? Are you controlling her like you thought you could control me? What possible leverage could you have over her? Naruto asked curiously, unable to believe that such a powerful entity could become enslaved to a mere government stooge like Waller. That is none of your concern. What should concern you is the attempted murder of a government official. So not only do I have Supergirl leverage over you, but I now also have attempted murder charges to hold over you. You're in a very bad spot, Naruto Uzumaki. I'd suggest you start cooperating with me before things become even worse for you, Waller said confidently. I'll go to trial for attempted murder. I have no problem with that, so long as you understand that I have video evidence of you holding me at gunpoint, and naturally, I also have audio and video of you threatening me and Supergirl if I do not become one of your stooges. If you want to go the legal route, we can go there, Waller. Naruto said confidently. I see now that you are a very stubborn and naive young man, Naruto. You're going to learn the very hard way that no one defies the wall and gets away with it. Enchantress, seize him. Take him back to one of our special cells, now. Waller ordered, Enchantress uncharacteristically hesitating as she exchanged looks between Naruto and Waller. What part of now did you not understand? Waller asked angrily, Enchantress once again looking at Naruto and then at Waller again before nodding her head in the affirmative, teleporting behind Naruto while simultaneously manifesting magical Sai on her left hand and attempting to stab through Naruto's left shoulder, only, much to her surprise, to find herself unable to complete the maneuver as someone very strong grabbed her left hand with their right hand, pulled her, twisted her around, and threw her off the balcony, a move that was doomed to fail of course as Enchantress simply teleported back to Waller. It was at that moment that about a dozen soldiers appeared out of nowhere, moving at such great speed that it left after images behind them, all of them dressed in black, all of them Caucasian, and all of them big and strong men. Carrying supremely crafted swords on their backs and guns on their right and left legs, 4 of the soldiers standing in defensive formation around the blonde Uzumaki and another 7 standing in offensive formation around Enchantress and Waller. Parameter sniper unit, take them down, now. Waller ordered, fear once again growing at the pit of her stomach when there was no gunfire in response to her command as she repeatedly pressed a button on her earpiece. Parameter unit. Respond. Now. Waller ordered frantically. I wouldn't bother if I were you, they have already been taken care of. You're all alone now, Waller. Naruto said confidently. Alone? Ha. I still have the biggest card of them all. I don't know what these guard dogs of yours are, meta-humans or aliens or whatever the hell they are, it doesn't matter. Enchantress. Destroy all of them, but don't kill the pompous little brat. We still need him alive. Waller ordered with a diabolical smirk, Enchantress doing as instructed as she instantly teleported behind one of the soldiers, manifested both of her magic sais and attempted to decapitate him, only for the soldier to duck just at the right time. Without even turning around to look and see where the attack was coming from or what kind of attack it was, simultaneously as that was happening another one moving so fast that once again he left after images behind him as he attempted to decapitate Enchantress at the waist. Only for her to again evade at the last second as she once again teleported away. Instead of going back to Waller's side, Enchantress appeared behind the one that tried to decapitate her, right on his blind spot, knowing that his partner could not help him as he was still bent at the waist and facing the other side, however, again, much to Enchantress's shock. This one too was able to perfectly evade the attack as if he saw it coming even though it came from his blind spot. And then proceeded to pull his gun out and shoot at Enchantress at point-blank range, not with bullets but with some weird energy blaster that Enchantress instinctively knew would hurt like hell, and so she teleported away again. This time however returning to Waller's side instead of trying to attack another of these dangerous people. I cannot defeat them easily, at the very least I cannot defeat them while protecting you as well. Their speed and reactions are out of this world. It's almost like they have eyes at the back of their heads. This mission of yours is a failure. I would suggest a strategic retreat. Enchantress said, Waller shocked by what she was hearing as the only time Enchantress ever spoke to her was when she was threatening her. What are they? Do you know? Waller asked warily. Some kind of meta-human, but not like any I have encountered. I've tried to link with them telepathically, they seem to have a collective conscience, as if they are one person. Perhaps that is why they are able to react to my attacks even when I attack the blind spot. If they share one mind, then the collective mind must see what all its parts can see so that only one of them needs to see my position and the other can react to it. Enchantress explained patiently. You seem awfully cooperative today. Waller asked suspiciously. Am I? I did not notice. Enchantress replied without a care in the world, a kind of nonchalance that Waller hadn't seen on Enchantress before, and it made her worry, the pit in her stomach growing wider and wider with each passing second. Rick? Answer me. Rick. What's the status? What's the black box status? Rick. Waller exclaimed as she frantically tried to activate her communication device, wanting to know the status of the containment unit that housed the heart of the Enchantress. Did I mention that my suit has a frequency jammer too? Naruto asked jovially, Waller's eyes widening as she realized the reason that she couldn't reach her team. What are you up to? Waller asked suspiciously. Right now? Nothing. It's already done. They'll be here in 3, 2, 1. Naruto trailed off as two more people joined them on the large balcony, the two young men arriving via teleportation, one of them being Instant and the other being Brainwave, who also was dressed in a black military get-up. Had a face mask covering the lower half of his face and had red goggles around his eyes. He also had a black trench coat on and spotted blonde hair styled in a military buzz cut and was wearing black body armor over his outfit and under his trench coat. Brainwave, Instant, welcome back. Now why don't you return to the lady the heart that was stolen from her? Naruto ordered, intent instantly teleporting in front of Enchantress and smacking the glowing black and green heart in his right hand against her chest, the heart immediately attaching itself to her and sinking deep into her chest, causing a power surge as the Enchantress finally got what she had spent the past year dreaming about, her freedom. How did you? What have you done? Waller cried as she rapidly backed away from the Enchantress. You are a fool, Miss Waller. Enchantress is a telepath, you idiot. She and I have been communicating and sharing information from the moment the two of you appeared before me. She told me all about how you had her heart in your possession and how you were using it to control her. She told me how you would have Rick Flag blow up or stab the heart if she disobeyed you. Naruto explained, Waller's eyes widening in surprise as realization dawned on her. My man here Brainwave is also a telepath, so I was able to share with them the information Enchantress gave me and, well, I'm sure you can figure the rest out. Naruto said condescendingly, Waller's eyes dilating in surprise as she finally realized why Enchantress had been acting strangely, and why she had seemed to hesitate when she was ordered to capture Naruto. You fool! You have no idea what you have unleashed. There's nothing stopping her now. She'll destroy the world. Waller exclaimed frantically. No, she won't. She doesn't want to destroy the world, you imbecile. She wants something that is beyond your comprehension. Enchantress is my ally now, so if you didn't fear me before, you should fear me now. Be grateful that I won't put you out of your misery just yet, Miss Waller. For I have a message I want you to deliver to the US government and anyone who would dare come after me again. Enchantress, if you could be a dear and do the honors for me. Naruto ordered. It would be my pleasure, beloved liberator. Enchantress said as she walked slowly and deliberately towards Waller, eyes glowing bright green as Waller fell down and started screaming uncontrollably, as if caught in some god-awful nightmare, which technically was exactly what was happening, Enchantress using her telepathy to trap Waller in a nightmare of her worst fears and the worst horrors imaginable. Good thing I activated the sound barriers and cloaking seals around this place, otherwise I shudder to think what people would think of me if they saw and heard everything that transpired here today. Naruto thought. Later that day, undisclosed location. Gentlemen, we have a terrible situation on our hands. Amanda Waller has not only failed to recruit Naruto Uzumaki, but she has also lost control of both the Enchantress and her own mind. What makes matters worse is that we have no idea of how exactly these events transpired. Rick Flag and Waller were the only survivors of the ordeal. Rick had his memories of the events wiped clean and Waller is now certifiably insane. She won't be of much help. General Lane explained to his compatriots. I suppose the first question to ask is if there is any hope for Waller to fully regain her sanity. Colonel Steve Trevor asked with concern. If it were any other person, no. But this is Amanda Waller. That woman is the devil in human form. She'll be back to normal within a month tops. The problem is that we will be blind to Naruto Uzumaki and Enchantress's plans for a whole month. That isn't a very favorable situation, especially in light of the fact that Enchantress has fiddled with Waller's mind. We have to assume that she, and Naruto, if they are indeed working together, know everything that Waller knew everything, including us. General Lane said gravely. So you're saying that planetary security is compromised? We have to reboot everything and everyone and start from scratch. That could take forever. General Wade Eiling exclaimed. It doesn't seem like we have much of a choice. General Swanwick said contemplatively. Perhaps. However, I believe you have an important role to play here, General Swanwick. You must tell Supergirl what happened to Waller. If Uzumaki and Enchantress are in league with each other, then we absolutely cannot afford to have Supergirl be in league with them. The three of them together will be too powerful. Percy Odell said. What are you asking of General Swanwick exactly, Agent Odell? General Lane asked curiously. Nothing much, only that he be honest with Supergirl, that's all. Odell replied cryptically, everybody, including General Swanwick, looking at Odell like he had grown a second head on his shoulders. Gentlemen, we need to confirm if Supergirl is in league with Naruto Uzumaki and or Enchantress. If she isn't, then we need to use her as a spy to gain information on Naruto and Enchantress. Odell elaborated. I see. That is indeed a most excellent idea, Agent Odell. General Swanwick, you will tell Supergirl everything you know about Naruto Uzumaki and what happened here today, and in doing so you must discern by her reaction whether she is in league with Naruto or not. Supergirl has only been dating Naruto Uzumaki for 2 months as far as we are aware. That isn't long enough for us not to be able to turn her against him. General Lane instructed. I'm not sure I am comfortable with that, General. Supergirl is a genuinely good person with Earth and its people's interest at her sincere heart. To use her like this. Will you grow a set of balls already, Swanwick? General Eiling spat with disgust, cutting Swanwick off before he could finish speaking. She's an alien, a very dangerous one. We only allow her to live because she has the potential to be useful to us. If you fail to use her, then she is to be terminated. Do you understand that, General Swanwick? General Eiling said gravely. What General Eiling is trying to say, General Swanwick, is that if you care about Supergirl as much as you profess to, then you will do this. Think of it as saving her life. General Lane said a little more diplomatically, just a little. And what happens if Supergirl is in league with Naruto and or the Enchantress? What then? Swanwick asked warily. Then you dispose of her. The Deo has more than enough a supply of kryptonite to take her down, not to mention the Red Sun UV ray weapons technology that Lex Luthor has supplied for the division. General Lane said in a tone that made it clear to General Swanwick that he had no choice in the matter. I do not think you comprehend what you are asking of me. If Supergirl mysteriously disappears, Superman will get involved, and if Superman gets involved, then the Justice League will inevitably also get involved. Essentially, you are asking the Deo to go up against all of Earth's mightiest heroes. General Swanwick tried to be the voice of reason. Why someone so lacking in imagination and creativity is in charge of the Deo is beyond my comprehension. General Swanwick, use Amanda Waller's resources, and before you ask, yes, I mean the Suicide Squad. Arm them with kryptonite weapons and Red Sun UV ray weapons and point them directly at Supergirl. If they get captured by Superman or the Justice League, blow them up. Odell said as if it was the most obvious thing in the world. Very well. It appears as though I have no choice in the matter. I just hope this doesn't blow up in all our faces like the last time we went after Naruto Uzumaki. General Swanwick said gravely, not pleased at all by Agent Odell's plans but nevertheless conforming if only for the chance to try and make sure that no unnecessary bloodshed comes from this. That will be it for today, thanks for watching.